see whether it is going to be a very early pick on the Scion, something like that, and whether Doran is going to be able to abuse it here in this matchup, because I felt like the fact that Morgan was actually able to play the game in their previous matchup was a large reason why
100%.
Bro was able to get the win.
Yeah, no, I do agree. You know, his most played is Ambessa. Has not been a successful pick for him, but this is most played. It could be another pick they could lean on, depending on the draft here for T1. See a Kalista ban towards Guma, with Guma Carrier's lane prowess returning to full form. I think that's warranted. The Vi is a must ban. But remember, Owner is like Xinjiao, Pantheon.
Yeah.
I have whatever I want. I mean, they could even just first pick Xinjiao and just lock it in and be like, cool.
Wow, they're first picking Gwen instead. This is crazy.
Well, you know, Jace can win this matchup if played to its full potential.
Oh, don't be silly, Wolf.
But they won't play that. They won't pick it, and I feel very confident to say that. If he locks in, I'll be so happy, man. I might jump out of my chair. But I know he won't.
I would be more happy if they locked in Xin Zhao, but instead they're going to take a Pantheon, of course, still very high up. Croco going to elect to go towards that one instead. The Victor going to be the lock-in. I do think banning, denying Xin from Owner is probably more important, as they're thinking about some different options. But this is like his best by it so far. Like, he's just so good on this champion.
He's so amazing on 3 picks right now, right? The Xinjiao, the Pantheon, and the Fury.
And that's not to say that he has a small champion build, just to say that he's so good at these picks.
But he also then played the Sejuani against D+ and won on a facilitating jungle where he was on a 4-game losing streak before that, because T1 as a team have leveled up. It's just so scary to play against this jungler right now who's LCK's best. Silas to get locked in here.
Damn, Faker feeling himself here today, as that is a pretty terrifying top side. Remember, this is the, you can't hurt me in the circle style of situation here for T1, the Gwen and the Xin Zhao, and so that has been a phenomenal combo here in the LCK thus far, especially on the previous patch where Gwen was a lot stronger, as once again Morgan is opting in to the Ambessa pick.
Ambessa into Gwen. Feels a little bit more playable recently, but man, look at that win rate. I think it's because this pick has been a crutch for so many of our top laners here in the LCK, and it is just not a crutch that's keeping them as stable. We saw even Zeus lose on it in that 3rd game of our previous series. It is not a pick that's finding a lot of success right now, so we'll see. It's his most played, and it feels comfortable, and that's what the bro drafts have looked like as of late. Love this Xayah ban, because Pantheon and Ambessa want to go in and get on top of that 80 carry, and that one's one that can just press R and say no to that.
Yeah, Kai'Sa going to be taken away from Hype to take away some dive options. I don't know whether it's necessarily my favorite bit of synergy as far as like a Kai'Sa draft is concerned. With a Victor, it doesn't feel quite as good, but still, they're going to take it away. The Lucian removed from Gumayusi has been so good at this champion as Hype, considering a misfortune, a fair bit of early power as well as some follow-up to the CC that Bro have.
I think Guma has leaned on this Lucian pick a ton in these situations where you would normally want to have like an Ezreal here and you have the extra safety. But I think instead of just being like, oh, okay, well, they're going to dive on top of me, I want safety, he's like, my comp also goes in. I've got melee solo laners with a Xinjiao. I'll just play Jhin, my best pick of the season.
And this is the thing.
It was a missed opportunity to ban the Jhin.
Yeah, and oftentimes, this is the problem, right? There are too many champions now that you can't let Gumayusi play as well. The Jhin was often, the fact that Jhin was banned was the reason why I was playing so much Lucian. And now they're going to be banning the Lucian away because they're more scared of that. And that means that he gets this pick that allows this composition to flourish. This is a very, very well put together composition by T1. Polo going to take the Braum. We did see fantastic Braum performance from Peter earlier on, but this will mean that a lot of the engage onus is going to be on players like Morgan, players like Croco, to really get in there and make things happen. And Misfortune needs champions to be held in position. So Croco and Morgan really going to have to step up as far as that is concerned, because Braum is not an engaged champion.
No, certainly not. And I do think you have to play through topside here as Bro. I mean, you have to try to give Morgan some resources, get him ahead, because if you can play through sides with this Pantheon, that's one thing that T1's comp doesn't do. Unless Faker has hijacked the Grand Starfall, you're not going to be able to match those rotations. And if you can shut down the Gwen and then play through that side lane and really start to get an advantage up there on the top side, I think this draft becomes a lot more playable, because your engage is so based upon that Ambessa going in to try to set up the Misfortune, because they went for an unusual support for her. So I'm not entirely sure if this is going to work out here for Bro. It's a draft that does feel very comfort pick, which is kind of how we've seen a lot of these bro drafts go, but on the other side for T1, it is just a robust 5-man unit. And Sunke fighting.
Sunke fighting. T1 win. Sunke is not on T1's team. He is, in fact, commentating the game. So I feel he's a little bit impartial.
Yeah, no, I think he just like, I'm here because I love Sunke, but also I'm cheering for T1.
All right. Oh, no, it's like...
I can separate them.
I love Sunke, and then I got tickets on the T1 side, so I'm supporting T1 or something like that. I absolutely love that. That's the vibe that we're looking for. As Zambessa looks pretty mad, let's see whether Morgan can translate that to some fury on the Rift as well. Let's get into it. Oh my god, the bro fan chant leader, that was the most passionate I have ever heard them starting off their fan chant. That was brilliant.
He makes Degon look like a peon. And like, you guys have seen Degon's chants. Like, you guys couldn't see him. You might have heard him, but it's hard to hear him solo before the chant hits. But that was next level. I'm not even really throwing shade on Degon. I'm just trying to show you guys the scale.
Yeah, this is the scale.
Like you guys have seen Degon go nuts, but this guy, he was like Degon times 8.
Yeah, I've never been like just surprised, right? Like by often, you know, there's always a fan chant leader, and they're often pretty passionate.
I think
that was like borderline. I'm losing my mind.
I think that guy probably pretted bro twice this week. I'm sorry, Deacon. You did the one thing to me, and now I'm on a tirade.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll forgive you. You are last impressed. So like we can see why perhaps you're feeling a little bit.
Dean and I also had the same preds this week, and we were both so confident it was going to be the 10 out of 10 week, and KT ruined it.
Deacon's just chilling. He's just talking to his bros in Twitch chat, man. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, that Degon performance right there was 1/16 of that.
16th is generous, Wolf.
This is not the matchup that Degon was feeling good about the bros in, to be fair. And I think we're all kind of feeling like T1 are looking to be a very solidly third-place team. And we'll see what happens in the match against Hanwha, because Hanwha is a little bit shaky right now. Maybe they could go even higher.
Yeah. Doran, the only one to have lost on the champion that he's playing here today. Ona 5-0.
Also for Guma.
Yeah. This is one of the problems, is that T1 have now found themselves in a position where, you know, they're stringing some wins together and they're finding what works. Right now, the Sylas is not necessarily working here in the mid lane, as Closer is putting on a lot of pressure, but the Xin Zhao and the Jhin have been such a core element to T1's win condition so far that this is feeling like another day at the office for T1 in this particular game.
100%. Those are just using the range advantage he has in this matchup. Faker has not missed a beat in terms of the farm, though, even though his health bar has taken quite a few hits. He is still matching Closer in this lane. Dodges this time, baits him on the last hit. Last time he got hit, but this time he will avoid.
Actually, very respectfully played here by Closer, as we can see. Expecting that Ona could be waiting in the wings and knows that Croco is a little bit far away.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have vision on Ona right now. Morgan.
Pretty aggressive here.
Matchup has, like, it's been volatile.
Yeah, and it's evolved, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen repeated nerfs to Gwen because they buffed her early game, which has just made her perma-prio as Faker's going in.
Yeah, chains go down, but he's going to get stunned up by the gravity well.
Ona's
and there's
close.
the flash out. Yeah, Ona comes in, and I think Faker was banking on Closer flashing after him, seeing red, and Closer did not do so. Hype having to get out of the way of this one as well, as he does still have barrier available. I'm surprised he didn't use that, really holding off here in this bottom lane. Just going to be eating his one potion.
Really interesting, but it pays off.
Yeah.
And ends up being a pretty good trade there.
Oh, Morgan going to face check here. Does get that ward down. Ona goes in, but Morgan has 11 dashes and uses 2 of them and is fine. Yeah. Faker is teleported back to lane, going to be able to get a crash in as the teleport immediately comes down from Closer, only going to miss out on 1 melee minion. Oh, and a caster there as well, as we can see. And the Bros actually doing absolutely fine.
Yeah, the laning phase looking really good. Bottom lane, they have control. Top lane, Morgan's playing the matchup well. Mid lane, you know, Faker lost his flash trying to look for an ambitious play there with Ona. They were a little bit too far away from each other, but it was a nice bait attempt. And you always trust Ona with those, but Closer was too respectful.
Yeah, I don't fault Faker for making that play at all.
100%.
Like, Closer has often overextended because he sees red, right? And this time he just didn't. So
It was one of the biggest criticisms we had of him on that 2021, T1 roster as a trainee. And he has evolved a lot since then, playing against his then master Faker. Now in this game here, his flash advantage won't necessarily amount to anything.
Oh, Doran gonna miss the cannon. And so that is that's a big step up there from Morgan. Gets into his minion wave. Morgan is able to fight back. You can see the gold is in advantage for Morgan here. For Doran here, who's able to just get a few more of these creeps.
Yeah.
It does feel like Morgan's getting the better end of the trades, but just cannot last hit quite as well as Doran at this point in time. Croco moving down, walks over a ward here. He's considering going for a early dragon.
It's going to at least make it mad.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Morgan did get control after that trade, and the wave is pushing in his advantage, so he can come up here and help out. Owner aware of this. Have a control ward, though, in the pit. I don't think Owner can really stop this. He is going to come over here and verify that, in fact, this dragon is going. Don't think he'll be flashing for a 50-50, though.
It's feeling a little bit like a 4v3, but the Drake does go over to the Bros, and T1 will just back away.
All right. Bro, early game.
Yeah, man, it's working. And honestly, the Bros have always been pretty good at early game. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's kind of been their bread and butter. Things kind of go wrong after that at all of the other phases of the game oftentimes. But we'll have to see whether this is going to be better, as they do have a lot of tools for later in the game.
Baker gets cannon. Closer misses it.
Oh, it's doomed. Never mind. So we're moving towards the mid game.
That's what
you're telling me. It's so wait a second, I'm breathing. It's apparently never.
Wait, Croco 15 gold lead.
See, there you go. We are so back. It's never Brover. As okay, this might be as hype. Never mind. No follow up, as there was Polu making his way in, and a full health Braum going to be enough to defend the misfortune. Very comfortable.
Closer and Croco do kind of remind me of Umpty and Lava in terms of their playstyles.
Oh yeah, there's a bit of a LoL King vibe here.
Croco Closer, a little bit aggressive in the early game, very strong laning from Closer. Reminds me of Lava. Reminds me of the old Fredit days,
Yeah.
Bro have always kind of kept that early game, early aggression identity. I do agree with you on that. That's what we love about them, amongst other things.
Oh, Croco also able to get the shellfish, man.
Yeah.
Perfect example, right on time.
Denies level 6 from Owner. Level 6 advantage, can't use it, but he's got it.
Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. And we're being a little facetious here at this stage of the game because honestly, like, nothing really means very much at all. It's a 300 natural gold lead for T1 as, the top side of the map, well, the bottom side, I guess, right now. Doran being able to last hit a lot better than Morgan, and he will be a Gwen later into the game. All of those things that we mentioned in the draft are still going to be true, As I say, Doran's last hitting really well. He misses 2 minions, one after the other, but gets the cannon.
That's the one that counts. Yeah, well, okay, missed that one too. But it's okay, you got the cannon, that's the one that counts.
The entire gold lead is just Doran and being able to hit minions better.
Well, he is playing into this Mbessa, which can dash around a lot, but isn't quite necessarily going to be able to extend trades, especially because he went for Grasp and Doran went for the Conqueror, so this has a little bit more combat power in extended fights. And when that Conqueror procs, Morgan's like, I'm not really sure if I want to continue to stay involved in the situation. Just wants to grasp as much as possible. As T1 have full control over these grubs right now. Closer is denied entry by Faker. And, I mean, with the look of things here, unless hype rotates over, I mean, Croco has ult. They're just so slow with this. I feel like they're going to contest. They needed to do it moments ago, and they're just simply going to give this up.
Yep, I think they realized that they weren't actually able to do it. Still had to deal with the minion wave towards the top side of the map. And so the Bros just going to give the grubs, and they'll look to fight elsewhere. Closer in this mid lane, still doing okay. As you can see, he's keeping that health bar in a really good spot up against Faker, who's using his in trade for minions. And you can see it's working out relatively well, only 10 CS behind. Against the Victor is not bad for the Sylas matchup.
No, pretty good, yeah. That was a bit of a strange cut.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. We really needed to get back here and have a look at the mid lane matchup, though.
Yeah.
Faker throwing chains around. There are gravity fields all over the floor.
Cannon!
Yeah.
Oh, he gets those.
Absolutely nails it.
That's the GOAT.
Yep. As Closer will be able to take his as well. Ooh, trained by the GOAT, by the way.
Yes, indeed. Oh, boy. Well, this is a very slow bro early game.
It's feeling a bit bro and brew, isn't it?
Yeah. Usually it starts a little bit later, but we're getting early this time.
The Arcane Storm on the wave, being utilized here by Faker. Just hijacks that one away, gives him a little bit of a moment of respite. And 1 minute until this Drake is going to spawn. We'll have to have a look at what the soul is going to be.
One of the key things about how Doran has generated this lead is he's never put himself in a gankable spot. And I really appreciate that because there's a Pantheon on the other side who's been level 6+ for a while now. Doran's always kept the minions exactly where he wants them, so there haven't been a lot of great opportunities for Croco to actually try to punish this Gwen or get in there and push the Gwen behind. He just hasn't taken an opportunity really to look for anything with this Pantheon ult just yet, and I think that needs to happen soon. It's not quite like a Nocturne or Twisted Fate situation where you need to be using it on cooldown, but certainly looking for something in the bottom lane as Faker is trading.
Yeah, the Arcane Storm doing a fair bit of work here as Kingslayer gets his health back, and Faker is basically at the same health as he was prior.
Owner's in the bottom lane too here, so I don't know if Croco can really find an angle at this moment in time, even with this prio they have.
Yeah, this victory is going to become a problem though, as Faker dives in, able to chain back, really nicely done there.
That was clean.
It was. Doesn't get the cannon though. It's a little bit of a shame, as Closer going to go exit through the river. And Ona's still looking for this, because Closer's not quite as fast as he once was. The flash out there from Ona, but now he's kind of juked. Oh, that was awkward. And now Polo's going to move over, stand beside Braum, and Closer is just fine. Damn, that was some dancing.
Yeah, that was really impressive from Closer. Just also how much confidence he had. And that allows him to just get the dragon for free, because they see Owner coming, and Closer's like, all I have to do is not die, and this is a win for us. It's 2 dragons for Bro. They love taking the dragons. They love the Chemtech Soul. It's the same color as their team color.
Yep,
so
there we go.
Actually good for them, right?
Yeah.
Optimism, yeah.
Thank you very much, Orcs, for not paying attention, because this is only going to say Bro, because, yeah, like you say, they've already got a green Drake, and they get another green Drake that's a slightly different shade. That's pretty cool. So they get the Ocean, and they get potentially 2 Chemtechs. Let's see whether T1 can stop the Soul Point from coming in, though. That's going to be 4.5 minutes. As the Bros, feels like they have a lot of control. They don't really have that much. It's sort of like the game is even.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying here.
I feel like the Pantheon pick was a super good pickup, you know, with the first pick Gwen. Like, they got a high-tier pick in return. They still gave over Xin Zhao, but haven't really been able to utilize this pick at all in this game thus far, you know, outside of really trying to make that pressure happen in mid just the one time, just to catch the aggression from Owner, but now he's going to get a stun at least.
Yeah. Crocker is just going to push Faker away. Grand Starfall now available for the Pantheon. It's now Polo looking for an angle, but it's Owner that comes on through. He gets stunned up, though. The Arcane Storm comes down. Magnus Storm's there as well. It's Stormy here in this bottom lane as Faker gets into the back line. Croco goes down first. Polo second to follow. And T1 just wiped 2 off the map. They're just too clean.
That wasn't quite what I had in mind when I mentioned the Pantheon. I wasn't really being that aggressive, wasn't looking for anything, as Closer is the next target and the next victim.
Yeah, this gravity field is doing a lot of work, as we can see. Carrier is going to go down. The teleport from Morgan comes on in there, as now Faker looking to turn it onto hype. Melee range with this Silas is not where the Misfortune wants to be, as that bullet time, it was time for something else, I think, in that particular moment. Morgan's going to be able to take down Owner, though, and it makes it a little bit better there for the Bros.
It's like the gun that when you pull the trigger, a flag comes out, like in the mask.
Yeah, a little bit like that. As Croco almost deals with the wave while he crashes down there, but Doran, with the fact that the minion survives, just going to wander his way out.
Big victory here is that Keria got the kill. Hold up.
Gumayusi going to have to flash.
All right, that's another big victory. Slightly less big, but Keria, as he's dying, takes the kill onto Closer. But watch this. Faker actually steals the Grand Starfall, and then the rest of the team rotates over. And Faker, because he's Silas and he's so beefy in these brawls, can use the Kingslayer here to buy enough time. Then he actually looks for the backline re-engage here, so there's no way out. Keria pulls a Magnet Storm. They're at the exact same spot. And also, look where Guma is. He's involved in this as well. Like, this is just a clean turnaround here. You have to remember that T1 can turn on a dime in these types of fights. Now, Keria gets the kill here, and because of this great, well-placed gravity field here, it's actually a kill for the victors. So that's a big trade back. This was a little bit more awkward, and
it's very uncomfortable when you're trying to aim a cone at someone and they're literally right on top of you. So a little bit difficult there for Hype to figure out where to put the bullet time. And ultimately, Faker is able to win out on the trade. or at least not die, which is the main thing.
It's a nerve-wracking moment when Faker is on top of you as a Sylas, and you're like, oh god, don't mess this up.
Yep, and it's like, in this game, it's the first real advantage. It is going to be feats of strength going over to T1 as well, as this top lane outer turret falls down. Doran kind of getting massive, which is a little bit of a problem. However, the gold is not, it's not in a ridiculous lead for T1.
No!
Now, Faker also going to be face checking here. Croco and Polo there, closer with the damage, and this Sylas is going to try its very best to get out. It's not going to work. And so the bros pulling closer and closer with T1 once again.
How do you like hide on bush?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to be, it looks like, potentially a turret in exchange here. Now, they did make this play successfully because Owner was on the other side of the map, but that also means Owner is going to get the Herald for free, so that's going to be a lot of damage potentially put into this mid turret. That's sitting at like 60-ish%.
Yep.
So one turret apiece as Closer finishes off that bottom turret with a play onto Faker. We'll see what that Herald ends up being used for. Could just be for Drake Prio here, 30 seconds time when what would be soul point for Bro does spawn. See a teleport from Faker to the top side of the map though. Yeah, that's indicating they're not that interested.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward that he's heading towards top side, 20 seconds on the Dragon, but might just mean that T1 not feeling too confident. They used a fair bit of vision resources there towards the top side of the map. As you can see, the Herald sort of surrounded by vision.
Yeah, I mean, it allows Faker to try to deep push, and they will see the Pantheon is on the top side of the map as well. Of course, Croco does have a global ultimate, so can join quickly, but this forces Bro to make a decisive call quickly here on this Dragon, and the hype is really pushed in the mid lane. And I don't think they'll necessarily be able to punish the fact that Faker went topside there to get this Dragon. And T1 have control on both sides of the map. And Doran is winning inside here in the bottom lane, so now you just don't have Prio anywhere. And they know Closer doesn't have TP.
Yep, no punishment. And yeah, Closer and Faker, both of them with no TP. So with the fact that Faker teleported to the top lane, there's absolutely zero punishment available here.
You know, it's like these moments from Faker where you could see he's like, okay, they might give Dragon, Closer doesn't have TP, he might try to trade for turret because they have a 2 Drake lead. I'm just not going to allow that. You guys push up bottom side, Doran push bottom side, we get Prio for Dragon, we already have Prio mid, I TP top, I deny them that turret in exchange, and we get the Dragon. It's like these moments where you can see T1 are thinking like 3 steps ahead, and Bro just end up with nothing.
Yeah. Bro also, I feel like, had an opportunity to play for that soul, but they just didn't really look interested. As now Doran, speaking of not being interested, he probably would prefer not to die here as the public execution does go down. Polu going to turn up there as well, and yeah, with Winter's Bite stacking up, down he will go. Concussive blows, sorry, as Morgan is going to be rewarded with the kill. 2-0-0 on this Ambessa, and he's getting closer and closer to a gold lead against his opposite number.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant pick there. After losing Dragon, not being able to get the topside turret, at least they had the bigger group there as T1 were a little bit desynced post-Drake. Nice play to come through. We'll watch it again here on the bottom side. As you can see, Pantheon lying in wait. Morgan goes in. And here comes the Grand Starfall. And unfortunately for Doran, they're in the circle with him.
Yeah.
They are melees. And he can't really get away here. He does secure the Bloom.
Oh, there you go. So there are some upsides.
Not really, but it was a good play from Bro. It was just really funny watching it back where he's just like, cut the scryers.
Nailed it.
It's just such a, like, you know, when you're playing League, when you die, sometimes you're a support, you're just like, drop a ward here, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Get something.
And you're like, at least they did something, you know?
Get that last hit on the minion.
Well, let's see what Hype's going to be able to do before he dies. As Polu is going to come in and see whether he can keep him alive, puts up the door, and Hype will live. Just going to get out of range. Polu happy to tank up that last shot from Gumayushi.
Ooh, Faker getting aggressive here on the bottom side.
Yep, there is still a turret that's pretty healthy as Faker is just trying to make sure that Closer's life is as difficult as possible. And the Rift Herald going to be getting a charge, so it's likely going to cut open this mid lane as Doran looking for some of that needlework. Of course, you need to land it here to get all of that sustain that the Gwen does have. And Kerry is moving up. Morgan just not going to quite find it here as he looks to try and dash away, but the Shattering Strike comes in, and Doran, he's running with scissors. He's real scary.
That was a cool attempt there from Morgan to try to use Keria to get out, but fortunately will not succeed. And down he goes, so... What was looking like maybe he was getting a little bit more traction in this game, unfortunately, will no longer be the case.
That doesn't quite work out. Now has his 2 items completed, but I don't think had them for the last battle.
No.
As Croco on vision. Not not going to stop Carrier from going back home. So
see, like, he wants to go in here. Doran's pretty low, but doesn't actually go back towards his husk of a turret. And a nice attempt here because he's got dashes, right? I was able to get Carrier's flash because he needs to secure the lockdown there. It actually ends up being, I didn't realize Carrier flashed in the original play, so that ends up being actually pretty worthwhile. More than just looking cool and an almost get out.
Yep, he manages to get the bigger cooldown for it. Otacon going to be spawning here down towards this bottom side. 2 minutes on the Dragon, so they don't have to deal with both of them just yet. As now Gumayusi could be in trouble. He has to flash to get out of the way of the Winter's Bite there, as well as now Ona might be paying for his sins. Morgan getting amongst it, and the Crescent Guard not quite working, but Croco also down extremely low. Guma takes so long to go down, but Doran, he is not immune. Neither is Carrier, and Faker realizing that he's going to have to cut his losses. This could just be Otacon time for the Bros. But they're going to move towards the mid lane instead.
Taking a gold lead off of this play. 4 down for T1 and a play they overcommitted to. Knows Carrier's ult just came back online after the play there in top side, so didn't have it, but acted like he did with his re-engage there with the rest of the squad hyper committing. Faker just trying to return to his turret here to save it, and is able to help clear out this wave at least so he can keep it alive a little bit longer. He was the only survivor.
It was actually so smart from Faker as well, because he went over to immediately catch the wave. Yeah. Bro, thankfully, like, moved back there immediately instead, but it otherwise could have just been Faker sort of cutting the rug from underneath them.
100%.
But still, they do manage to get some damage down.
Like, this initially starts as Guma getting caught. He flashes away, right? Doesn't have cleanse, so has to flash. Gets caught by the Braum ultimate here from Palu. And then we see Carrier double down on the flank here with Faker. It doesn't have Magnet Storm, so they just kind of run over T1 in this fight. Faker can do nothing. At least he cuts his losses and survives while holding that wave, as you mentioned, to prevent the turret from going down. So he turns what was a disaster into at least slightly more salvageable. They didn't lose the mid turret. That's one strong fortress. They can still play around there in the mid lane. 20 seconds till this next Dragon does spawn here. Bro got a lot of momentum. They have IE for hype now. 2 items for closer. This is a 2-item Pantheon as well. Like, this is a very winnable team fight here for the side of the Bros if they can get grouped and hold that prio. And right now they have it.
See whether they can be in the right places at the right times. This is the problem point for the Bros, right? It's understanding where to be on the map post 15 minutes. And unfortunately, Bro Leavers, it is post 15 minutes. So they're going to start off this Dragon, see what the answer is here from T1. Ambessa on that top side of the map to teleport in from the Gwen to start this one off. Gravity Well now on cooldown as in comes Morgan. It's a 5v5, it's going to be honest, but that Magnet Storm is so good, and the Bros are going down so low. Croco able to grab Soul Point, but can they actually stay alive in the fight? That's the question. Grand Starfall, and he just exits. All right, and they just call for the disengage.
Yeah, very close to dying anyways, but he is able to channel it and get away. Closer's going to clear this wave. Can he actually get the turret here? That would be massive. He's just got these 2 range minions, and I think he has just enough damage to take this one out. He's going to have to do one more shot, and he'll get it. And I think he gets away too. Doran is the only one nearby, and he's got his buddy there. Now they're losing Otacon, of course, for this, but I think that went about as well as it could have for Bro after that fantastic Magnet Storm from Carrier. This time he has the ultimate, and you can see what the last fight could have looked like if it was set up like this. Is the angle here looks a little bit awkward, but the follow-up actually from Guma is super good.
Yeah, Hype's position is just kind of insane as Faker finds a bullet time in this fight as well and throws it at Apollo. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I loved the way that Croco played that as well, as he gets on top of the Jhin to buy a little bit of extra space away from everybody else and knows that Jin's slow firing nature, he's Jhin, allows him to have just enough time to ult out there. I think Croco really understanding the lengths at which he could actually maybe get out of that fight. Like
I think it was like pretty crisp call as well from the Bros to be like, oh no, it's done. Like, Hype's dead, let's get out of here. We don't have the DPS. And then they actually managed to disengage. They have the mega disengage cones as well. So that's certainly handy here on the Chemtech Rift, but still.
They get the Dragon, I mean, Soul Point, and
it's important.
They press the eject button, and I guess the game continues, right? Their lead is still
and there's
small,
no,
but
there's no like there's no like experience leads on this map either, right? Like with the fact, like when you snowball into an Otacon, then sometimes the experience leads can be a bit ridiculous. Like there's like an extra level on everyone. But this time around, as you can see, there is still experience parity because the bros have been pretty good at sticking around in their lanes and locking down the resources. So really nicely done here for the bros so far. This is neck and neck though at 25 minutes.
The Closer is about to be a team fight monster. The fact that this Gwen, you know, it has a lead. It's kind of had this small sub-500 lead this entire game, but hasn't been able to take over sides, means that the Pantheon has a lot of power here. It can shut down any side lane attempts from T1. And front-to-back team fights are kind of what you want to do with Jhin, where you have all of your melees who are super tanky, your bruisers go in, you have the Xin Zhao, the Gwen, and the Sylas, and then Guma does a ton of damage, but Closer's damage at this point is massive as well, and he has added safety of having this arm guard for the next fight. Baron is up. They have Soul Point in their hands, so 2.5 minutes until they could look to fight for that as well. This is a bro team fight comp that works extremely well together if they can set up first. And, you know, they've been able to reasonably do that for much of this game. And T1 haven't been able to turn this Gwen into a big side lane threat just yet. Even though Doran is sitting on 2 items, it's not actually pushing to threaten turrets. You can see that it's being watched by Closer right now in the top lane.
Yeah, Closer also just eradicates waves, so Doran not going to be able to tank up turrets, and the backdoor burn is going to be too powerful. So the Victor, not necessarily known as a side laning champ, is now Faker could be in a little bit of trouble. Croco just running on in, and there is the flash out from Faker. He might actually survive this, as immediately T1 are on the Baron. Polu gets idea of what's going on, but do they actually manage to rotate over? That's the question.
Faker has TP, Morgan does not.
There is Grand Starfall.
Yeah, they should be able to get Morgan in here, and I think T1 are making the right call to back away.
Oh man, and you saw, like, this is the classic T1 play. They try to catch Faker on a side lane. He narrowly escapes, but already the team's doing Baron.
Yeah.
And the bros, thankfully, had an answer for it, but T1 don't get punished for a play like that because the bros already invested more onto the other side of the map.
And Morgan completely whiffed his ultimate down there in the bottom lane. It might have been because of the way that Faker got over the wall. He predicted where Faker would land incorrectly because he didn't have vision there. But if he hits that, I think Faker probably does die, but he missed it. Faker was ready to TP to Dragon. He makes the, or rather to Baron. He makes the call. You guys do Baron. I'm going to get this free back off. I'm going to have full health. And they know Morgan at that time didn't have TP. Sure, the Grand Starfall is there, but unfortunately T1 didn't quite have the damage to hold the Baron. And I think backing away made a lot of sense. But it's always those threats you have to be so ready for when you play against T1.
100%. 30 seconds now on the Chemtech Soul as well. Shattering Strike comes down. There's the chain CC. Magnustorm as they commit onto Hype, who has to flash very early in this fight. Ona dashing forward, but there's Polu with the save. Crescent Guard does come on down, as now the rest of the cavalry will turn up. Ona, the first one to fall, is Hype using that Bloodthirster to get his health bar back. It's a good deadly flourish to try and save Carrier, but the Grand Starfall gets Croco in, and down he goes. I'm not entirely sure about that particular play, as now T1 feeling like this is their opportunity, but Morgan gets into that backline as Gumayusi's in so much trouble. Still, so much burst damage onto him. And the bros, they managed to take down Ona, but Croco, just in light of fairness, is going to throw his life away as well.
He said jungle for jungle.
Yeah, that's the trade.
And they are going to be able to turn. It's still a one-team fight, even though it's a 1-for-1. Like, they won the subsequent fight, so T1 lower health bar is not able to contest. I mean, they're trying to come over here. A big flank from Doran.
Yeah, and Faker actually had the Grand Starfall. The bros trying to get back into position, and they may have bitten off more than they could chew. Closer trying to do what he can here with his AoE damage, but down goes Hype. Gumayusi stands his ground, and even though the gravity field is good, it's not good enough. It's a triple here for the Gwen, as Carrier with some supportal combat against Polu. He gets the Gromp involved, and Gumayusi's delivered a kill. That is soul denial, and it's a bit soul crushing as well for the Bro Leavers.
It certainly is. T1 taking a significant gold lead off of this. Faker's already got his eyes on Baron vision as well on the top side of the map, as it looks pretty good here in the outset for Bro, as we do have the jungle trade. Those, again, they are looking for the Baron start in live. But it ends up being Owner going very deep for this. It's a heroic play from Polu. Stands beside and knocks Owner up with the ultimate there, buying space for Hype, who doesn't actually use his ultimate just yet in this fight. Then Croco gets a little bit far ahead of himself here, while Hype is nowhere near and ends up just exploding. But they end up winning the subsequent fight. Now they're on Baron.
Oh god, oh god, oh god. Okay, well, Croco is just going to get executed, and the Baron will go over to T1. Baron plays in T1. They're pretty good at it. And that is going to secure them that. And it's so T1, right? Because this game was exceptionally close for the entirety. They win one team fight pretty decisively. This one, in fact, right here. And now with this Baron going down, they're going to take a whole bunch of turrets. It's going to be an 8,000 gold lead and probably GG.
I mean, the thing about this fight is I think for Bro's perspective, it seemed like a good angle to do Dragon. They won the fight. There was some desync spawns, and there's some backs coming through, right? But Faker having the Grand Starfall was such a game changer.
Yeah.
And he's able to show up to that fight and lock them into place there, and they're not able to escape. They don't have the tools because they used them in that last skirmish to actually win the fight. And they just thought T1 were going to give it up. T1 doesn't give up so easily on these big objectives. And that team fight win, the later part of it, the second version of it, you could say, is what gets them the Baron. They deny Croco entry, no 50-50, no Smite Steal, a dead jungler. And like you said, T1 are going to turn this into an 8K plus gold lead, very likely.
Yeah, that's the danger. So far, haven't really picked up too much. Is now Hype able to sidestep very nicely. But Croco is fighting with Doran, and Doran is just fighting with the turret. And he's going to win that battle, as Croco going to have to flash over the wall. Hype with these auto attacks is pretty scary, and Faker having to go golden, but he's still going to die. And the Arcane Storm also pushing T1 away. So even though they've got the Baron, they're not going to be able to utilize it for the next little while. They're going to need to go back, lick some wounds. And the Grand Starfall actually getting Croco in there. He'll get the stun onto Doran. Is it an overextension, though? That's the question, as Gumayusi at full health, but now he's left out to dry. The rest of the Bros chasing after them. 4 versus 5, the advantage for the Bros, but still, T1 get away.
That captive audience, so high value there as well. That was the moment where Bro was just like, there, it slows down, we can't chase anymore. As Faker goes very deep for this, actually misses his chains as well, takes a ton of turret damage, and this started to get a little bit weird, right? I mean, Morgan's not here, but Bro can rotate over. Croco gets over the wall. Faker goes golden, but
the double up onto Doran as well completely pushed him out. Hype really saving the play in a big way in that moment.
Clean double up, and Faker does lose his arm guard off of that. He'll have his Zonias in the next big fight, you have to imagine, but we'll don't have it for whatever transpires here. The last 30 seconds of this T1 Baron. Maybe a flank angle for Croco if he had his ultimate, but he doesn't. He used it in the last play.
And it's only a 5K gold lead. We were talking about the fact that T1 pretty good at ballooning it. I think with that last play, doesn't quite work out, as Croco is possibly once again dead. Carrier able to use the Magnet Storm and get out, but Croco will survive for the moment. Bullets flying on in here as Ona on a ward right now, and Gumayusi will find the last shot, take down the Pantheon.
Closer hates Croco confirmed.
Yeah.
What was that?
That's so unfair.
That just wasn't even necessary.
You just stand in front of him, man. As Digon also a little bit upset about it, but that interruption from Polu, the president, might be making things happen, and the Lord decrees that it is time to get into the backline and win this game. The Gwen gonna go down, and Morgan is still up, pushing Faker away, but Faker does manage to take down Closer. It's a lot of the DPS now missing. Ona now as well. Wind becomes lightning, but he's getting hunted down.
Will Morgan find him? I think the answer is yes.
Yep, Guma trying to escape, but the captive audience, Deadly Flourish, and he just does a lot. So, yeah, Morgan does get into melee range, but then what?
Yeah, he just gets rooted, and then he can't hit the Jhin anymore, and the Jhin is kind of big.
Yeah, the Jhin hits all buttons and then goes boom.
Yeah, this was not the greatest ult from Hype. It helps clear the wave. But if this was actually a better synced up fight, I think that T1 could have gotten crushed even harder.
Now let's see the moment where Closer decides that he doesn't like Croco. There it is. Polu was going to stand beside Closer and get up the door, but then he went untargetable, and then he was untargetable, and so he couldn't target him to go beside him and then put up the door.
No, I think
No, I think it's Closer's fault.
Yeah, I think Closer just doesn't like Croco. It's weird. No, I'm being facetious, but that was a bit of a strange one. Anyway, and the subsequent follow-up, like T1 get a little bit split, right? They're playing Jhin. So once his ult is down, like he doesn't have consistent DPS like a normal AD carry does, and the rest of the comp is melee. So they end up winning the fight until Morgan goes in, and Guma has reloaded, and he has enough DPS to shoot 4 times at an Abessa who's rooted, and he does.
And now we have 3 dragons on both sides. This could be a quadra Chemtech Soul for T1, which would mean that when they have low health, they don't have low health. And that on a Gwen does not sound like something that I want to see.
Yeah, it might be time to... I mean, Closer's already got an Oblivion Orb, but I think everyone else might be looking to invest soon.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of healing and shielding power that T1 will have in their arsenal. Silas with that?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, and there's already a mortal reminder, like, Gumayusi, he saw the future where a potential Chemtech Soul could be a problem. Bro, not necessarily setting up for that situation. So now we've got an emergency Oblivion Orb coming through from Closer. We'll see whether this Arcane Storm can make sure that he can limit some of the healing.
Will definitely help a lot because he's going to be hitting a lot of people, and he needs to be because he is really their most consistent damage in these team fights, as Hype needs to also hit big ultimates, which so far hasn't really been the case. On this level 18 Misfortune, he's just not quite able to make the impact.
Yeah.
Unless
still
the setup
sitting
is
on
there.
the brown bags as well.
Yeah. I think part of the problem is that they're playing this Braum composition. The Braum doesn't really hold the enemies in place for the MF, so it's a little bit tricky. They don't have consistent engage outside of the Mbessa, which isn't going to be hitting multiple targets. We'll just be hitting one at the end. So Hype can use his ult defensively, and oftentimes Misfortune works really well into super melee heavy comps like what T1 have because they all run into your cone and you do big damage, but again, it's a lot of ifs, and this Misfortune being level 18 and being on 4 items doesn't necessarily matter. He can't actually hit that big ultimate. He does a lot of damage, consistent damage if he is given the opportunity to, but it's kind of feast or famine how these fights are going to look for Bro, especially if Closer dies for any reason. It is just unplayable.
And it's looking less and less playable based on these items that Doran seems to be able to purchase, because he's now got 4 of them, and the cool hat and the timepiece, he's looking pretty fly. As Closer is just riding that staff, wandering out of the base, as we can see here. And he does have his cool hat completed as well. We've got another purchase here, as at least a Noon Quiver is now done for Hype, but not too important.
Not the most exciting purchase, no.
Yeah, I was waiting for like his cool, like I'm getting the next, but he's already on 4 items. He's still, he's looking pretty strong.
It's more about what he hits with his ultimate than what items he has, I feel, in this one, and it's going to require some setup. T1 have full vision control, and I don't know how much agency Hype, Croco, and Morgan are really going to have here, as this Baron is just gone.
Yeah, we don't have any scrying ability, and it's just going to get taken down. So the Bros, they're going to choose a different time to fight, is what I expect.
I just don't think they could have fought there unless Croco just ults in and they just
yeah,
go
but then
for a Hail
Croco is
Mary.
definitely just dead.
Yeah. And I mean, they denied him last time, so he's probably got bad memories and he doesn't want to do it. But I don't think there was much of an option there for Bro. But sit back and give Baron and let T1 win the game is not really the option I was looking for. Is Croco?
Yeah, he's going to have to flash, but he's probably dead. Yeah, and by probably, I mean definitely.
If you're going to be there, you might as well just ult the Baron pit.
Very true.
I'm being mean, but I don't know. That's going to cost them big, because now that's no flank angle, real way to shut down this Baron at all. I mean, not for 40 more seconds while he's in the death chamber.
Well, now Morgan has found Faker and Carrier trying to get something done here in this mid lane. Morgan does do a fair bit of work. As you can see, the rest of the Bros are going to turn up. So this tower will survive. But you can see T1, they are pulling them around. Doran still pushing towards that top side, and Faker just immediately teleports back. Like you say, they are so good at making sure that you have to be aware of everything.
The 1-3-1 power, when you have this much control over the map, I mean, it kind of plays itself. You just go to the lanes and let the minions do the work and start sieging up from forever away.
Yep. And there it is. Tower goes down. Ona goes in immediately as the Arcane Storm is down. Closer goes golden. And now Hype in the back line has his GA pop very, very early in this one. Doran's running with scissors all over the place. And that is just so much, too much for the Bros to deal with. Croco goes down. Doran's underneath 2 Nexus turrets and just goes golden and says, this is totally fine. They'll take these ones down, and T1 move to 1-0 in their match against the Bros, looking to get revenge for round 1.
There were certainly some shaky moments there, and Owner looks like he is very relieved. Doran is just out of there. Everyone else is going to take a minute with it, and Doran is just like, all right, I think we got to clean up some stuff. But T1 did play the better game, and T1's control over late game objectives is second really only to Genji's. And Degon's not super happy about it. It was definitely a winnable game. There were definitely angles here for Bro. But the team fights were just nowhere near as clean or as crisp as T1's. And we didn't really see a single game-changing Misfortune ultimate. We didn't see the setup for that. And when they don't have vision and T1 are so aggressive and oppressive around the Baron, you could see these Barons disappear. The first one, Croc was like, I'll show up, oh, I'm dead, I tried. Second one, they're just like, I'm not even going to touch that. And then he gets picked afterwards trying to maintain vision of where T1 are going to go, and T1 just end the game basically off of it. Another win for Guma on Jin. Another win for Owner on the Xinjiao. They can't keep letting this team have these picks.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, we don't have to worry about in game number 2 because, of course, it's Fearless, and so now Xin Zhao not going to be something given over to Owner yet again, which does make us a little bit upset. I mean, it's always a pleasure to watch him play a champion he's so good at, but it's not great watching teams let him do that to them over and over again, which I feel is inappropriate. Time for us to go to a short break. When we get back, the Space is going to break that one down, then we'll have game number 2. We'll see whether the Bros can fight back.
박을까 볼게 이거. 가면서 아래. 이쪽 나 봐. 삑삑삑삑.
도냐 있어. 리폴 거의 잡았어.
삑삑삑.
좋아.
삑 잡았어.
좋아.
삑 잡았어.
자, 앞에서. 리폴 높게.
이거 잡았어. 좋아.
W.
끝났다.
나이스.
Well, we'll just have to find
I just wanted to ask Subtle the music got dramatic, and
I think they will, actually.
I think they probably should. So that's something that you're going to expect here. The Callista, that Doran, what we wanted him to play in game 2, I guess that's also banned away, so unfortunate. Won't be seeing any Pokemon trainers up there on the top side. As a lot of discussion about this second ban will be the Varus instead. So trying to push Guma's champion pull out. He gets the camera shot there. He's not looking too happy about it so far, but still early on in this draft, and these are very commonly banned 80 carries. They take away Morgan's Rumble here in that second ban.
This is really interesting, though, because does this force T1 to pick, like, a Xayah early or a Lucian early?
I think they will probably pick his champ in the first rotation because obviously it gets thinned out pretty quickly as an Annie ban. It's pretty surprising to see. The Jace is still available, and for T1's final ban, we'll see what their look is going to be. It could just be a Scion ban, I think, or a Yorick ban. Feels pretty safe right now into Bro. Nefiri is the other top-tier jungler that's left available that we've seen Owner crush on. They're going to ban that Scion, so they're knowers.
Yeah, I think this is a smart move, taking that one away from Morgan, something that he has been able to have decent impact on. But I think, like, Nefiri first pick could be the thing like you were talking about. I do feel like it's a bit of a trap, but Talia is very strong, so that one makes some sense.
Closer's best champ. We won't talk about some of those Weaver's walls, but in terms of the seismic shoves and where he needs to be on the map and where he is on the map and where he's able to set up single target, blow up, it's been great. His laning phase has been great.
Also, it denies Faker's Azir, puts him most likely on the Ahri, which is still a very scary pick. They can play Ahri Nefiri here if they would like to. But still, I think I'd prefer Faker on Ahri than Faker on Azir.
I would in this draft as well. And they agree. So that will get locked in. The Fury is likely to follow. I think there's a world where you could play Viego, but not probably going to happen in this case. Owner wants to play something that he's already well-versed on and is incredibly safe.
Yeah, the Shaco's probably it. That's what I was thinking as well.
I would have liked to see. It would have been very fun.
It would have been definitely deceiving.
Yeah.
I do like it. We could have then read the Shaco lore.
Yeah, he hovered the Shaco clone. I knew it. It wasn't actually really going to happen. As this is not a surprise to anyone.
I mean, it's a little bit. Doran hasn't necessarily been having like all success on the Jace, but still good to see that he's happy to lock it down.
I feel like I remember the LCK Cup Doran a little bit differently than Chronicle was talking about on the space. I feel like we saw domestic Doran in the first few weeks, so we saw him in playoffs a little bit on the Jace, where he was playing tank Jace incredibly well. Like when T1 was all on the same page, did enjoy a lot of that. He knew he was going to be playing against Yorick, which is why I think that the Jace lock-in makes sense here. And let's see if they want to deny the Nefiri pick, because that is something that Bro can now do, and that would be the trade-off of grabbing Jace right here, right now.
I think Nocturne could also work if they want to play for side lanes more. I wouldn't mind it. Then you've got like double pseudo globals.
I agree with that. It's a really smart call. I think that Owner just wants to get a little bit more information before he's willing to lock the Nefiri in.
A little bit more team fighting with the Wukong.
Works well with Yorick too, in those occasions where Yorick shows up to the fight.
And also, you get the Cyclone down, then you put a Ghoulie wall around them.
Yeah, and then you put a little seismic shove on top of it.
Oh, sounds pretty scary to me.
A lot of rocks getting unraveled.
Oh, man.
I still think the Nefiri makes sense here.
You could take Poppy as well.
Yeah, Poppy feels very good.
Yeah, I guess like Poppy into Wukong's definitely good, but Taliyah and Yorick don't really care, so...
It's just Nefiri Ahri is so powerful, and you have a lot of dive potential. You have a lot of backline access with this draft, and you can soften targets up with the Jace and then follow up on them so incredibly well. We've seen Faker have obviously a second pentakill of his career and one of his best Ahri performances very recently on the same pick. I mean, T1 are one win away here from a 5-series winning streak after having a rough start to the season.
And it was all 2-0s as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of absurd.
Now, you mentioned this, like we talked about maybe Gumo was going to get his pick in the first rotation. We kind of went past that and didn't actually talk about it anymore. Now, the Lucian is going to get taken away again here. The Jhin is gone. We'll see if they'll target him further in that final spot.
I already wrote Xayah.
Yeah,
I already wrote it down.
I think Xayah is pretty safe here to ban, and we'll see what Gumo wants to go to this time around.
And Kai'Sa being banned only makes it more understandable.
It makes it pretty apparent. Yeah.
So we'll see whether they do actually get rid of it. The Alistar will then immediately come in.
Yes.
As, yeah, we called that one pretty quickly. And so now, is it going to be holding counterpick? No, it's just going to be the R4 cow, and that makes a whole bunch of sense. Alistar going to be locked in.
You know, this is not one of those situations where we've seen, like, in the past, you know, Guma plays the Neela or something like that. We're like, whoa! You know, we forgot he had that one, but I don't think this is that kind of draft. I think he might just end up playing a scaling AD carry here. Although, let's see what the matchup is going to be. Varus is gone, right? A lot of the AD carry pool thinned out by Bro. It means their opportunities are less. The Ashe is like the highest tier list pick that's left available. Can be quite strong into the Alistar.
I actually quite like it. And
Poppy?
Then Ashe Poppy, because you know they've already picked the Alistar, so you're not going to get punished for this. And so the Taliyah Poppy combo will make things a little bit difficult here, as the Ezreal is going to be locked in. And a
huge cheer through the crowd.
Yeah. You can see, like, I think Goom probably heard it as well. Bit of a sly grin on his face as well. Not necessarily known for this pick.
I mean, a pick, frankly, that he has avoided, but he has played in the past and has given us some pretty decent performances on. Even though he doesn't lock it in often, doesn't have the confidence to play it often, you have to imagine, because there's been so many drafts where it was the perfect angle and he went for the Xayah instead he went for something else that was safe. He's going to play it here. It fits the bill. We just didn't know that he was going to be able to pull it out today. Feels like he's confident enough on this. I think this is a big moment for Guma. If he can pop off on this Ezreal, if he can have a good performance here, I think some of the doubters will kind of stay silent. You know, it's going to be a quiet time across social media if he's able to pop off on this Ezreal. And it's exciting to see, because there's been so many drafts for me where I'm like, oh, this is the Zeri angle, this is the Ezreal angle, and he's gone the other way. But today, slams it down. He is confident he could do it today against Bro. And I think this series for me just got a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, me too. And I really like what I'm seeing from Bro's side, right? Of course, Ezreal doesn't care about either the rocks or the steadfast presence, so you really get out of a lot of the difficulties of playing into both Taliyah and the Poppy. It's actually a phenomenal pick into what the Bros have put down, and also gives him a lot of self-peel opportunities as well. Still, there's a lot of team fighting power here for the Bros, and they will be able to control areas really effectively. Looking forward to seeing how it goes. But Owner is on another really powerful pick, and he has been really good. So that might make the Bros' life a little difficult.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. And that is like, that's the true Akami skin. It's a little bit corrupted, but I think it's about the closest that you can get. Thank you, Ona, for that one. As the bros moving in for a little bit of an engage to start us off. I just want to go and zoom in on Ona and have a look at this this Nefiri skin. I do like the hot dogs, but I'm such a Akami fan that I just prefer that skin.
Yeah, I agree. I've given my whole case.
Yeah, you've had a spiel on that one. That's
Yeah.
one that we definitely share.
And
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
if I take the nameplates off, I kind of like Bros Draft. And I think that the Yorick pick is the one that stands out to me as this one could backfire. It does weaken your team fighting, but it's extra side lane pressure against a T1 composition that I think both scales decently because it has the Ezreal and the Jace poke damage for neutrals, but also kind of needs to be in control of the game, or Guma has to really pop off. Like, if you fall behind in this draft, Doran and Guma have to land a ton of poke.
Thank you so much, G-Sun and Yundo, for that one. Because we get to see it, and you can see it's not like pure white, you know, like Amaterasu is, but still pretty close. As far as the chromas are concerned, it's the closest.
Yeah, kind of looks like Garurumon as well.
We've got to get the Digimon in there.
Yeah. Let's see how this lane goes, because Ashe versus Alistar, feeling pretty good. Poppy also can be quite strong in the early laning phase, but Gumakaria going to look to be aggressive.
That's another headbutt out, as Hype spending most of this lane just running back. But you can see, not exactly getting a whole lot of power until level 2, level 3, and that is exactly where T1 make it to. As
level 2 first.
Actually going to zone Bro away from... No, not the next one as well, but they almost missed out on experience of one of those melees. In fact, they did.
Actually pretty cool, though, to see that headbutt from Keria affecting the level 2, getting them that angle, pushing Hype away. It's actually pretty clean, and guarantees on level 2, and now they can start looking to put the pressure on further with the Ezreal.
Bulk shot, spots out Ona, gives them the good old thumbs up. You like to see that.
Important information to have. Closer, once again, aggressive laning, working in his favor, but dead even in CS.
Yeah, nothing really to worry about here, as the Jace is on a 5-game losing streak. Kind of crazy. Especially with King and Zeus on that list.
Yeah.
Yes, especially from the last series.
A bit of a
Have
struggle.
the best performance, exactly.
Yeah. Keeping an eye on this bottom lane as level 3 is hit here for Keria. Good steadfast presence, though. Will interrupt the combo. That's just otherwise, though, Alistar is a pick that we've talked about for years as it kind of auto-loses lane, but it has just been so stable. I think both, some of the buffs to the picks that we're seeing with it, like Ezreal, have made it a little bit easier to play out, but I think teams have really figured out how to stave off the pressure better with the Alistar, and we're just seeing it win lane so much, and it's Gumakaria, so...
Yeah, and it's also against a Poppy, right? So
Yeah.
you're also not going to be in a position where you do a whole lot of winning if you are on the Poppy.
You have to use the terrain. It's quite challenging when the other team knows that you have that limitation. So, good measured play from Gumakaria.
Well, this is a bit cute. Okay, never mind. He's just going back. So, Doran not going to get punished or anything like that for his positioning, but Ona is going to double scuttle. And there's not a whole lot that the pros can do about it. Teleport back in from Doran. And so a lot of the lead is going to be this jungle, as Ona will be able to just clear out a whole bunch more. Also able to go back, grab his wolves before he goes back home. We'll see what he can actually put together there as Croco with a rock and a sword.
Both junglers pinging where their jungle opponent will likely be to their team. It's pretty cool to see. They're both exactly correct. Owner pings the Krugs where Croco is heading. Croco pings the Gromp where Owner is heading. So both teams very aware of where the junglers are despite not having vision. Just love to see like little things like that from pro gamers where they're able to track the pathing incredibly well.
I think Hype as well, being able to spot which camps are up and which aren't on the minimap, on the map as well, as Polo looking to come in and deny Faker here. He doesn't actually have level 6 as the Ignite is ticking down, threaded volley needing to be flashed. And so Faker not going to die, but is going to be in a little bit of trouble. No teleport available either as a seismic shove just barely misses.
Man, Faker, such good reaction on that flash. Ends up getting punished for his positioning there, but does not die. He's just so quick. No matter how long this guy has played, he is not going to lose. So those core mechanics.
Yeah.
But still down a flash now. Doesn't feel great. Successful gank there from Palu.
And Carrier in position, not able to find a follow-up onto Closer.
There's a lot of vision for T1 in the river and near the Raptors. Like, they had so many wards there, so I guess that Paulo was able to avoid that on his way over as Doran almost gets ghoulied.
Yeah. Jace is very good at dealing with the ghoulie wall. You can just accelerate your shock blast, and you only need like a few shots and it goes down. Sorry, you press your acceleration gate button in, sorry, the W.
Yes.
Yeah. Not acceleration gate, because that's the other.
That's the other one.
Yeah, that's easy.
Just AoE it down. Owner cannot necessarily win this 2v2 here. He's actually just going to go untargetable and run away. That was a peculiar move there, but Doran does stave off the pressure. No dragon attempt here by T1 as Bro just...
Ooh, nice shove.
For some pressure more. Faker's flash still down. He used his charm.
Charm doesn't actually hit onto anything at all, but Owner is moving in here. Threaded volley doing a fair bit of work as Croco just trying to bide his time as now Faker getting on in there, and Croco is in so much trouble. He flashes, he finds the Q, and the monkey will live. The doggos don't find the daggers either, and Closer is now looking to finish off Owner if he can. Carrier comes in, and that is going to be the cow saying no to all these shenanigans.
Wow.
A lot of animals in the mid lane, but a big win for the bros.
Flash Q from Croco, and Doran's in trouble now.
Wait, the flash forward, the ghoulies, the maiden, are they going to be able to get the kill? That little ghoul, it's not going to be enough. Okay, whoa. Okay, the Lord and Savior of the bros, not quite able to get a solo kill, but that is definitely a better look for Morgan.
Yeah, but it is a Jace out of the lane, and he's going to be able to pick up at least a plate here. Doran is going to miss a ton of experience and gold here on this wave as well. Morgan very happy with the exchange. He knows Doran doesn't have teleport. Would have been happier, of course, if that ended up being a kill. He's picking up a pretty significant lead, and it's really only Guma's Ezreal that has a gold lead right now here for T1 anywhere. As well, once again, solid early is Faker. Where are you at?
Oh dear.
Rocks are down.
Yeah, the rocks go down, and Faker not going to be able to do too much about getting out of the way of this one. It's good charm onto Closer, but I don't think it's going to save him, and it in fact does not. There is yet another kill. Faker 0-2 right now, as we're going to have a look at this mid-tango once again.
Yeah, this is a really close fight here as Owner comes over. Faker kites back, right? And then Owner puts a lot of damage onto Croco as Faker is trying to look for the follow-up here. But Closer hits him with that extra Q, and then Croco flashes to take him out. That flash was really critical. And they know Faker, of course, didn't have his from the previous gank. Here it's a Weaver's Wall, and Paulo got the full wraparound. I think it's a pretty greedy from Faker here, but also a nice catch, a nice punish by Bro from long range, using the Weaver's Wall for a pretty short distance, but it's enough to trap Faker there and lock him down. So 2 deaths now for the GOAT.
A flash immediately comes out as well from Doran as we head back into live. Hype being able to at least grab that cooldown. As here on the top side, we do have a little bit of pressure put on by T1. Hype grabbing this wave is a little bit of a worry, but the bros feeling very confident, especially with Faker towards this bottom side of the map and showing on vision. And it is going to be grub number 1 going on over to the bros.
Yeah, they got it without smite, so they still have a smite for a second one here, so looking very good for a 2 for 3.
Yep, Hype moves on in. And the True Shot Barrage getting a fair bit of value. In fact, over all 3 of them is massive, but it is a 2-for-1 trade as far as the grubs are concerned.
Doran getting prior there on the top side really warped how that was going to go. Nice avoid here from Carrier as well. They took the pressure in the top side, turned into a grub swing there, and the True Shot Barrage was massive. Doran had faster rotation. Hype could not get involved in the thick of things there outside of his ultimate. And so T1 ended up getting a grub there, pushed them away. Doran actually maintained gold parity for a moment with that extra pressure he had in the top side there. Now finds himself behind again as Yorick is by himself, unanswered in the side. Looks like Morgan's going to pick up another plate, but a lot of work done by Doran in that kind of quiet part of the game, but still going to be Morgan in the lead.
Oh, and there is a fair bit of damage on towards Faker. Of course, Orbit Deception does a decent job against the ghouls, but Morgan very, very happy on his Yorick. Maybe, like, the Yorick is now the new Renekton.
It's like
Morgan. Maybe that's, like, the thing. It's just transition.
Yeah, you're Renekton.
Yeah.
I think that champion mastery is something that we, in the LCK, don't always talk about. We talk about what they can't play, but not what they're really good at, and especially when things are a little bit off meta and a little bit niche in terms of what their role is. But Morgan has such mastery and such comfort on the pick that even though we scholastically don't like it, he keeps finding success with it. And I think he might be, like I said before, the best Yorick in the LCK. And once again, showcasing why they draft it for him so often. Something that is a pain point for us casting some of these drafts, but has been a success point for some of Bro's biggest wins.
Yeah, it's working out. And Morgan has been a guy that's just found success on something that's like very specifically him. Like even in, what was it, 2021, where they did make that amazing run to Worlds. Like the Camille that he was playing at the time, it wasn't the conventional way that you would play it, right? Like he'd often just figure out a different way to make a champion.
Well, he was like first picking it and stuff like that back then.
Yeah, he just didn't care.
He was just like, no, I'm good at this champion now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And we were like,
and also,
like,
I'll lose lane, but it's okay. We'll win. Like we can make team fights work no matter what.
Yeah, he just, I don't know. It's the kind of player that he often is, and I mean, he's winning right now against Doran in terms of the extra pressure he got in the bottom lane. He's still up 300 gold. Almost killed Doran solo. He's gonna grab another plate here. And until it stops working, I'll sing his praises in this one.
Gully Wall. It always just makes me a little bit more excited than I have any right to be. But it is still a very fun ability when it does land. Is that turret not quite able to give away another plate?
And this is on Bro Vision.
Yeah. Ona calls back the doggos, and it should be Ona taking this one down pretty comfortably.
And I think they're going to kill Doran. Yeah, I think they're going to kill Doran in exchange. But Doran, potentially aware of this, see what he decides to do. They're going to get a plate at worst case scenario, but I think they're going to get a Jace too. As here comes the Wukong.
Yes, I think Doran getting the idea that he's going to have to try and clear out the wave. The Gully Wall comes down, the arrow sails on through, so does the True Shot Barrage. That's pretty cute. Faker's teleport just that little bit too late, not going to be able to save the Jace. And Carrier even able to get up here as T1. They also get the Dragon, right? It's not exactly end of the world.
Because Faker teleported, though, Closer's going to get more plate gold here on the bottom side, so...
Look at those plates that they've just prepared earlier here. It's like a cooking show here, the Bros.
Just pulled it out.
Yeah, pulled it out of the oven. It's like, no, we had these ones prepared. We just made the batter earlier on, but here's how it's supposed to look. All golden brown and delicious.
Yeah, because, I mean, you could see, actually, if you look at the minimap, where you were looking at the minimap, you could see that Closer actually channeled it back, and then when they see the teleport, he's like, no, I'm not backing. And then he gets a plate and then backs. And now he can come up here and catch this top wave. Morgan has teleport, so this small teleport advantage and this small push and pull, the tug of war that Bro is winning, is starting to add up in the gold. You know, it's only 1,500 about the lead that they have right now, but it's, again, significant. A lot of that's on a York, so, you know, your results may vary, but
well, I mean,
they're making it work. He's getting pressure on the map, and they're utilizing it.
It
well.
is also very important for a split push side lane champion to be ahead. Otherwise, you definitely do nothing. You know. So investing into the Yorick is something that they will have to do. Hype misses that CS, but it was hiding behind the turret, so it gets a bit confusing there. Still, the Bros playing slow, and I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
About 1.3k going to be the lead here. Looking to try and lock down some feats of strength. Need a couple more objectives if they want to make that one happen. As next dragon going to be an Ocean. Let's see what the soul is going to be moving later into this game.
Faker, looking for that first item still, is significantly behind. Closer has been trying to patch up some of the top side. Is now getting pushed in by a York.
Yep.
And, you know, in terms of objectives, there's nothing yet. The Herald is up in 1 minute. See, owner will reset and will be able to return before then, but Faker still doesn't have his teleport. So Morgan is kind of playing around this. He's like, are they going to gank me? Because he can either hard pressure the turret and give up the Herald, or try to keep Faker interested. Obviously knowing that he can teleport at any time is pretty massive. Like, you know, not that he wants to fight, but the fact that he has teleport means he can utilize it for extra pressure. That topside turret's still alive. He can commit. There is the arrow.
Yeah, arrow not going to connect this time around, as now Doran trying to get away from these rocks. The threaded volley really starting to hurt from Closer. And Doran realizing that he is not safe towards that topside flash or no flash. Still not something that he wants to do, as now Ona going to be forced out of here. Nice little front flip.
Jace, TP to the bottom lane.
Okay, Gumayushi doing a lot of damage here to Kroko.
That's pretty massive right before this objective, but Doran went to the bottom lane here to try to deal with this Yorick. Lost half his health bar, and his turret is still looking like it might fall.
Oh my god.
No demolish proc. He got the wave, so he's going to keep the turret alive. But T1 in this awkward spot now where Faker didn't have TP and now has to rush over. They don't have their Jace. And the Jace is going to have to back. And the fact that this Herald is up, they're using it, Bro are using it very well to actually continue to pressure T1 on both sides of the map.
Yeah, and Morgan will be able to, like, because there's no one here yet, Morgan just needs like 2 Qs and this is dead.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, he's gonna get this demolish proc he didn't get a second ago, and it's just gone.
Yep.
That doesn't cancel teleports anymore, so he may be dead.
Well, he's just going to teleport himself because he knows, oh, the charm has to land, but it does not get it there in time.
And so Faker trades his teleport for this, but they still lose the turret.
Oh, God.
And he gets out with his life. York mastery.
This is just lordly,
No,
the performance. And
dare I say it, is it a good bro macro game?
well, it is so far, but remember what I said about 15 minutes, Wolf. It is now 15 minutes and 50 seconds, and now is about the time where things fall off the rails. So they're going to need to keep it up. But so far, yes, it definitely is a good pro macro game.
At Grok, is it true? Or bro winning the macro against T1, defending world champions.
I have a feeling I know what we're going to learn about, and it has nothing to do with League of Legends. Let's just say that. Okay, Morgan back up here towards the top side, level 11. The Maiden well and truly powered up now. And he's even got his steel caps, couple of red rocks, just feeling fantastic. Rift Herald going to be considered by both teams. So we'll see who's going to be able to get the priority around Shelly. Right now it's looking like Bro are in a good spot.
I mean, Closer does not have teleport, so the edge they had for sure, the Shelly was there. It's not there anymore, but it's okay if they can maybe get a top turret for this and Closer keeps pushing.
But also, Faker has to come on over and catch this wave as it crashes in the bottom lane.
Yeah,
and so with Weaver's Wall, of course, the Taliyah can kind of be anywhere. Gumayusi also possibly in trouble as the Arcane Shift going to be employed to get out of the way of the Seismic Shove.
I think in part, like, T1 were very slow to try to punish as Doran's caught.
There it is. Ghoulie Wall goes down, and Doran going to flash out of the way. The Maiden still getting upset. You can see Morgan with the most gold in the game.
I think there was a real window for T1 to try to do something a little bit more aggressive while Closer was showing there on the bottom lane and try to make something happen for this Herald, but they instead kind of slow-played it. Faker was a very long rotation down to the bottom lane, and now Morgan's going to get this turret for free. He doesn't need the Herald for this one, and I don't know if Faker will be able to say the same about this bottom turret. He has Owner with him, but others are coming down. Closer has Weaver's Wall, and he's going to get a lot of this turret. I'm not sure he's going to get the whole thing, and I think he won't.
No, he's going to have to run away from Closer here, and even going to get thrown back. Nice charm was already in the air as Closer running pretty quickly.
Hype has arrow.
Phase Rush does proc, and it does work against Faker, actually, as Owner here in position. And wisely, Closer is going to move back. Polu not going to be as wise, and so instead going to need to use that heroic charge. Seismic Shove goes wide because of it, as there's the Keeper's verdict. The verdict is no pets allowed. And we'll just evict the dog.
Yeah, I mean, I guess trying to lock an Ahri down would be pretty hard for Hype. He doesn't commit his arrow, but definitely had his finger hovered on that mini-map, I think, at that moment in time while his skirmish was breaking out. Paulo losing his ultimate, but doesn't lose his flash, and there's no objective up anytime soon here as T1 were able to secure that second dragon of the game here, so I don't think it's going to matter too much that there's no Keeper's verdict here for Palu, but it's a turret lead here for Bro. They have a Rift Herald they can drop in the mid lane. Not a great timing or anything like that to try to secure Dragon Prio, but that's going to be standing gold, or at least a significant charge in the mid lane for them when they want it. And see if they can keep this control, because like you said, it's the team fights and it's the later game. It's the post 15 minutes where Bro do fall apart oftentimes, but they have so much control now. As long as they just keep putting the pressure on just like they have these last 8 minutes, it's hard to imagine that they're simply going to give up the control of this game. Like, they just keep putting the pressure on. We can carry it.
Yeah, great Seismic Shove going to connect onto the cow. And the Bros continuing to throw in this poke. Hype able to layer in these volleys. And he is the only one that's behind on their team. Gumayusi been doing a really, really good job. Very, very close to 2 items on this Ezreal as well. Now going back, we'll see whether it is going to be Manamune done or whether he still has to wait. Yeah, just Caulfield's going to be put together. So there's still a little while on the 2-item spike that we talk about for the Ezreal, but he is certainly on track for it.
Yeah. Otherwise pretty good performance from Guma thus far in this game. Is just farming up a storm, like got a lead. He was the only lead for T1 this entire game, basically, off of his laning prowess into Hype and Palu. And, he's about to become a real big threat and potentially the main character for T1 if they're going to get back into it. Because, like I said, if you don't have map control, that poke from Doran and Guma has to land, and the Ezreal is such a big part of that consistent poke to try to fight your way into objectives for the team fighting that T1 is so known for. So, heavy weight on Guma's shoulders if they want to get another 2-0 for the 5-game winning streak. And that 2-item spike is ever closer.
feeling a bit worrying, though, because this Yorick owns the side lanes.
Yeah.
He is very scary. 1.6k the advantage for Morgan over Doran right now. And so the Jace not necessarily working out. Ghost blading towards this bottom lane. Will be able to possibly put the final dent into this outer turret in the bottom lane. It's going to help T1 out as far as Global Gold is concerned, and they're by no means too far behind as far as that is concerned. It's just looking forward to the rest of this game. That side lane pressure is always going to be there.
Yeah, and T1 are not known to be down 2 turrets at 20 minutes, you know? This is a quite unusual situation as Morgan.
It's a really long lane, by the way. There's the Morning Mist, and there
Bye-bye.
is the Ghoulie Wall. Doran is just dead. He didn't even need to shovel him.
Solo kill.
Yeah, that was, well, it was more of like a 5-person kill because there was like 3 Ghoulies, a Maiden, and a Yorick.
Arrow missed. Solo kill.
Well, I mean, that's actually what it was.
You know, if Hype stole the kill with the arrow, I don't know if we'd feel good or bad about it.
I think we'd just have a giggle.
Yeah.
That's probably where I'd be at. As, yeah, Morgan's like, okay, my minions are better than yours,
I mean, he's so big. He has Shojins.
Yeah, look
he
at
kills
this.
him if he
He's
doesn't
able
W.
to flip out of there. But now it's Gumayusi's turn. Faker comes in. Great sidestep. I think Morgan is definitely dead, but he's demonstrating that he's pretty scary. Gets a bunch of his health back. He's running around in circles. The Ghoulie Wall is cute, and the Maiden is going to go down. So Maidenless and dead is Morgan, but Artican is also dead.
Yeah, I liked it when he killed Doran. That was the good part. The rest
Yeah,
of
that
it
was the good part.
was kind of cool because they got Artican. It looked a little bit funny, but so many people have to come to deal with the side lane pressure threat. That is exactly what you want with your side laner.
If Doran dies again, then it's 100% worth, as he has to go in because he knows that he's dead. Good flash comes out there, but Closer puts himself in. The Cyclone from Croco is extraordinary, and they just keep the doggo in the sky, and Closer survives.
Yeah, untarget all this!
Yeah, exactly, as the turret also goes down as the cannon minion acting as the 6th man on the rift.
Oh man, the slow comes through here. Morgan, he's
And the arrow just spectating. There was a camera, there was like a GoPro on that arrow, so you get that really cool, like, the camera angle.
yeah, it's like a sports cam.
Yeah.
Instant replay from like the horizontal view. It was a great flash from Closer. Watch this. Croco said, ah!
Yeah,
Oh,
he's like, no.
And Paulo said, not my mid laner. And they did the CC, and the dog was flying, and then down.
Yep, and now Faker is looking to get a dive onto Closer here. Seismic shove actually headbutted into. That was so weird.
Not my mid laner.
Yeah, they are all defending Closer. Saving private Closer. That's kind of the way here for the bros, I guess.
And so many T1 members top side, and guess who's on the bottom side? Split pushing and looking for an inner turret with Demolish procs at the ready. It's my man Morgan.
Yep, and now Doran is fighting Croco. I think my money's on Croco if it's a fair 1v1. As Morgan, yeah, just, like this is just gone. The Maiden going to be put back together. Morgan no longer Maidenless as he gets this wave put together once more. I mean, Paulo also standing his ground against Ono. That is a sign of how this game is going.
I mean, we're one big team fight away from T1 getting back into this game. Like, I want to make sure that we do recognize that T1 is 5,000 gold down, but they have a really good team fighting composition, and they have some of the pieces coming together. Like, the Muramon is almost done for Doran. Guma's is finished. Faker's on 2 items. I do feel like if one fight goes awry, Bro can lose this game, but it just doesn't look like they're interested in losing this game. They are not letting control of sides at all this game. They're playing so well.
Oh my God, how did that seismic shove work?
Yeah, I don't even know.
나이스야. 너무 잘했는데?
It was nice. You did a really good job back there. And the thing is, like, how Bro are playing and how well they're playing around denying T1's catches, I feel like they're feeling themselves right now. Like, they've reached the penultimate Bro, like, confidence and coordination. And
also
I don't see the way back into the game for T1 unless they make a mistake.
Oh, there's a flash forward as over the wall goes Croco. He's got another section of Cyclone here. I'm pretty sure there it is. He uses it to make his escape. The seismic shove delivers the dog over towards the bros. And they will say thanks for that one. It's not the hot dog this time around, but they're going to still say it's delicious. As Doran looking to try and finish off Paulo here, but he's made it to safety. And T1 without their jungler now. And the Baron is spawning in 10 seconds time.
All right. It's not really the T1 control of Baron spawn angle. It's the against T1 try to do Baron, which is also a little bit of a scary prospect. Guma does not have summoner spells. Palu running as fast as he can. They're trying to burst this one down, and even Morgan's getting involved. But this is a scary angle here for Bro.
Yeah, Bro really want the turn, and they are going to find it here as down goes the Talia. Morgan gets in amongst it, though, as the goalie wall is down. Palu looking to try and make something happen. The flash forward from Hype's crazy, but it just might work. As down goes Gumayushi in that backline, Morgan is making sure no one else can get in here. And it is Doran and Guma both on the ground, and the Bros, they can go back to the Baron if they'd like. But maybe it is just heal yourself back up and just do the do-si-do again.
Yeah, I think resetting is probably the play, as we're going back to how Kroko got Guma's sums here with the help of Hype. It's a trade of flashes, but Guma doesn't have his flash for the upcoming fight, is able to get over the wall here, and T1 trying to go back. I mean, they take so much damage. The control here that Bro exercise and the coordination is like, I don't know, this is a different team than what we've watched for most of the season. Here, though, I think the Baron call is a bit greedy, but they pull off of it. Closer does end up getting burst out. This time they can't protect their mid laner. But then Guma, without flash here, is pretty exposed, pretty vulnerable. Doran tries to go in for the heal. And the flash is so intense.
Yeah, Hype just really just saw it, and he was like, look, no, we're going.
Somebody said Ezreal no flash, and he said, well.
Me neither.
Yeah. We're in the game state where Guma is still basically the only lead on T1. Guma's Ezreal is not the problem, and it's the side lane problem. It's the 1-4 Jace that's so behind, and the fact that this Yorick just keeps pulling T1 around. T1 is the tennis ball that Bro keep pulling from side lane to side lane. And now looking for more onto Faker. Good charm.
Yeah, and now Faker is kind of in a box. They do put the wall down, but the seismic shove going to pull him back, and man, he had absolutely nowhere to go. Down goes the Fox Lady.
I mean, who's going to deal with Yorick now, by the way? Morgan's level 16.
I don't really have anyone to elect for that one. Is Polo going to stop Ona from getting on top of him? And
would you pick
meantime,
the inhibitor turret? Can you think the inhibitor turret can deal with Morgan? I don't think so. I don't think this inhibitor turret's got it, man. I don't think so.
Doran is shoveling, man, and he's shoveling strongly. Doran comes on over. He's going to stop the inhibitor itself from going down.
Morgan is digging T1's grave, and I think he's about 5.8 feet deep.
Well, Kroko's grave might also be there, as never mind, they aren't going to push any further forward. Closer here towards the top side, just dealing with the wave. Hype doing the same thing in mid, and they're making the map feel very small on the side of T1. Let's have a look at this catch onto Faker once again.
Yeah, it's a really nice Weaver's Wall. Faker's charm here denies Closer's follow-up, but there's just not enough T1 here. Way too much, Bro. Paulo and Kroko are still able to collapse, and everyone rotates up anyways. So that means Yorick gets an inhibitor turret, and they're just outpacing T1. I did not have it on my official LCK bingo card that Bro would out-macro T1 with Yorick in Game 2 of this series, but I guess I'll put the X in right now. And when you have a lead like this in side lane pressure, it's not like T1 are playing badly. There's just not much they can do when Bro don't make mistakes and play the macro game perfectly, using the Talia so well.
Well, Faker is, speaking of caster curses, they are real, and the arrow going to connect onto Carrier, who uses the ultimate to deny it. So down goes Closer. Polo going to taxi on the crab, and does manage to evict the doggo, but the Bros now in a whole lot of trouble. One after the other, they are going down, as at least it was the decoy that fell there. The flash charm going to be able to pick up Kroko, but the goalie wall will just deny. Owner able to front flip his way out. But there is the Warrior Trickster from Kroko. He has to use the flash as well, though, as Ona going to get slowed down. There's the blast cone. Morgan just getting amongst it. And he puts a goalie wall down. That's going to make sure that even the Maiden survives.
I mean, there's a potential Baron angle here if they're confident enough to do so.
Yeah, Kroko is still up, but you're right. With 3 versus 5, I don't think Bro can fight for it.
I just don't think Kroko can reasonably get there. I think they have enough damage here at this point. Shojin is done for Guma to burst this one out. We're going to see the teleport coming through, but it is a Yorick. Carry is holding the line here on the edge. Hype can't get through, and T1, off of the skirmish, will take the Baron.
Yep, teleport going to come in from Closer. We'll see how many Barons they can actually take off the map, off the back end of this one. I think Doran is definitely dead, as they're just trying to work out whether they can get anyone else. So here's the consolation Jace, and T1 absolutely happy.
I wonder if Bro could just push this naked inhibitor in the bottom lane and try to take that out before T1 can get reset here. Send somebody down there. Faker teleports to the turret. Arrow?
Yeah, going to get the ulti out of Faker. Should mean that this inner turret is going to fall down. So against the flow of play, Bro going to be able to at least get this one back. The Rebel Baron power play getting closer and closer to the negatives. As there's 2 Cloud Drakes, by the way, already picked up in a row here for the Bros. And they're looking for Soul Point.
This is just Morgan now pushing the top inner turret, while the rest of the group of Bros are threatening a potential take of that inhibitor, forcing T1 to rotate over. And they do eventually go and deal with that Yorick as it all starts off here. The closer ends up getting caught. After I was talking about how he's been playing this Talia so well inside. It ends up being a really long and extended fight though with some attempted saves here. It's going to be a really long replay. So the crux is many bros die, and it's a really cool ghoulie wall and slow by Morgan, who gets betrayed by Krako, almost blast cones him to his death. But it's a really good flash here from Faker, hits the charm. Morgan comes over for the ghoulie wall assist. The Cyclone is really well placed here. This actually really helps Bro come over to go for the contest. They don't deny the Baron, but they kill Doran and get a good push themselves. So T1 not with a whole lot of power after this play, but they do pick up the Baron for themselves. That's some gold they grab, but it was not the decisive team fight I think they were looking for. You can see it's a small dent in the gold grab here, but T1 have a lot more work to do to get back control of this one.
They absolutely do. So it's not quite working out for this Rebel Baron power play just yet, as we do have like a minute 15 on that one. Still some work to be done. But the problem is that Bro have such a good side laning composition that it's so hard for T1 to actually get these side lanes in order so that they can win out, even with a Baron. And that's kind of nuts, right? Like, that's the power you get with the Yorick.
They got the Jace to the, like, 1% health bottom turret, but he can't kill it. The Yorick deals with it. Now Doran's just alone inside. Almost got the turret. Good try.
Dearie me. Well, there goes the shield.
You don't have turrets.
Heroic charge comes on in. Weaver's Wall going to block him off, so that is just a free kill onto the Jace.
I mean, there's turrets everywhere for Bro. Like, T1 only got the mid turret. Every other turret is alive. So Doran has to go so deep and like, can't kill the turret. Then he's just cut off by a Weaver's Wall, and that's the inhibitor. You know, it's just stuff like this that is Bro running circles around what is it, a very attempted Baron power play, but barely in the positives. Faker picks up that topside turret. They're second of the game. But Bro are like, cool, it's your Baron. We're getting more. Inhibitor down, and now threatening the mid inhibitor turret as Faker returns home. But this is the end of the Baron, and it's not a positive.
It's not. And the arrow going to connect on to Carrier, who doesn't press the ulti button, holds onto that one intelligently as well. There's now Morgan throwing out some mist, but as you can see, it's Hype getting to work on the second inhibitor for the Bros. And the base is getting so small here for T1. They just don't seem to have too many answers for Bro just closing in and breaking their stuff.
They just can't get a true 5v5 team fight because they're always a man down. They're always, sometimes multiple members down, trying to kill this Yorick. And we've seen Morgan do this on other picks. We've seen him do it on Jax. We've seen him do it on Camille, where he's just this insane raid boss side laner. And this is one of those games where you need 2+ people to deal with him. Because if you just send one, then Closer's like, okay, I'll be right there. And he just Weaver's Walls over and kills you. And if you send 2, like, you might still die, actually, because he's so big and has a hull breaker, by the way. And so T1 never get to have that proper 5v5 fight. If they won just one, with all the standing goal on the map, with all the turrets they haven't taken yet, they'd be right back in the game and maybe even in the driver's seat. But Bro are just not letting control of this game go back into their hands. I feel like a weaker team would have messed up the macro, would have gotten caught in sides, and Bro just aren't making any mistakes.
They're not. And they're putting the Yorick into the only other side of the map that does have an inhibitor. As I say that, he's teleporting into the mid lane because there is a sole point to fight for. Ona goes untargetable to avoid the arrow. And we'll have that one back off cooldown relatively quickly. Morgan moving on over. Remember, the Hullbreaker not doing as much at this point in time now that he's grouped with the rest of his team. They do want to make sure that they can confirm this dragon, and all they have to do is wait.
Yeah, there's a huge wave in the top lane that Doran is dealing with. He can teleport over. Super minions starting to stack up 2 of them in the bottom lane. I don't think T1 can win this, or maybe a steal.
Crucial Barrage was cute.
Fairly close.
Yeah, not quite enough, but yeah, as you say, closer than it had any right to be.
I don't think that was a fight T1 could win, but they can try to get some side lane control. That turret in the top lane is gone, so Doran can actually turn what was a big wave into his big wave. They have control of the top side. Bro don't have vision here. Hype, careful on taking wolves, careful on moving over here alone, because hide on bush is definitely kind of the traps that need to be set here for T1 to catch members where they have pockets of vision missing. And that was a potential angle there. They are not quite able to catch Bro there. Bro, don't make that mistake. They're moving really fast on the Rift with your favorite Cloud Drake.
Heck yeah, they got 3 of them.
3.
If they, like, another 4.5 minutes, and it could be like the Quadra Cloud Soul. Oh, it's my absolute favorite.
I told everyone they paid their taxes. I mean, we did check on this.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we've had a few extra subscriptions as well, so the Bro Flags are also in there, which is like the best way to pay your Bro tax. Highlight the Bro Flags.
The 4-1 here is so insanely strong, and trying to peel off to kill Morgan is just not realistic.
And also when you've got 2 inhibitors down, it just makes this play so comfortable. The Unbreakable Will onto Carrier there as the Charm will connect as Morgan is making his way over, but I don't think you're winning that 1v1 as the flash forward from Polo is massive. The triple knockup from Croco as well on this Wukong. Gumayusi goes down and Carrier alongside him. And Doran, of course, is dead at the same time. Faker still in this 1v1 as the Blast Cone might save his life. And the popcorn for Dagon is tasting better and better as the Bros look to knock down the Nexus and bring us to a Game 3. Oh, what a day for a 6-gamer, Wolf.
Oh man, back-to-backs, in fact. And Bro said, you're not getting your revenge against us tonight. They were able to take out T1 last time around, and T1 were on this streak of getting revenge and getting those 2-0s 4 in a row. They were looking for their 5th, but not against Morgan's Yorick, not yet.
Oh no.
As we are going to a 3rd and final game, and T1, they just could not deal with the side lane pressure. And I better not see any fingers being pointed at Guma's Ezreal because he was not the issue. They got pushed out inside and there was just no recourse. And Doran on this Jace from as behind as he wasn't going to be able to get it done alone. And the fact that they had a Talia to play through that side lane meant that Closer always had so much agency. Morgan nearly top damage in the game, but that honor will go to Gumayusi. But at the end of the day, this is just a lot of global power. Hype's vision, the knock shots, the arrows, the fact that they could control objectives with keep resorting. This was a masterclass of draft. Was worried about what it was going to mean when we saw the Yorick lock-in, but I said too, take the nameplates away. I like Bro's draft.
Yeah, basically, Yorick was Dompe from Ocarina of Time, and they played that race game, and T1 unfortunately could not keep up.
Hate that game.
It's a little bit frustrating. We're going to go to a short break. When we get back, the Space going to break that one down, and we'll have Game 3.
이제 가도 돼요. 나 알리. 아, 더 가도 돼. 알리 너무 야 벗게 안 된다. 야, 알리 보자 이거. 볼게. 그만 볼게. 나 알리 볼게. 이제 봐줘.
야, 이제 노비전.
잡았어. 데이터 잡았어?
나 미드라인.
미드로 가자.
애쉬가 들어왔는데. 자, 끝나겠다.
근데 볼래? 계속 보자. 가.
그냥 끝나, 얘들아.
나이스. 나 방금 알리 책 끄는 거 멋있다. 나이스. 한번 잘해. 야, 동대 잘 봤다 이거. 동대 나이스.
그래, 캐리 좀 했다.
네. 계속 천천히 하면 이길 것 같아.
Tell me more, Wolf. Tell me more.
I'm thinking that's mainly it. You know, those are the big ones. Maybe Morgan's gonna try to play Thorn or something.
I don't know. I've seen an emote in my game. In fact, I see it every single time I load into anything.
Renekton?
And that is a Renekton with some shaky hands, baby. So maybe the Crocodile is
you
going
and I
to
were
come
talking
out.
about, he's not playing Sion, which was what we expected this would be banned again. But you and I were talking backstage about how we were like, maybe he's feeling himself, like the confidence he showed in Game 2. Maybe he will pull it out. Maybe he'll pull out the Camille.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see.
There's a few of those. We'll see whether Doran goes back to something more like tanky, like it could be on priority. Skyrocketing here, especially with the Rumble being banned away. No Yorick, no Ambessa, no
Talia's
Jace,
gone,
no Gwen.
so Faker's like, this is my moment to play Azir, and
Yep.
I will take it. So that's not a surprise. No Victor, no Talia, no Ari. So Closer.
Does Closer just play a Kali?
Aurora?
Aurora could be an option.
I feel like he's super confident on the Aurora. They could go Aurora Nocturne here. Feels pretty good. Or Galio Camille. No, he's gonna pulling the Lucian out early.
Wow, that is very early.
I mean, a lot of 80 carries have been taken away. The Varus is gone. The Kallista's gone. So not surprising, especially because Guma has leaned on this pick a lot when the pool gets thinned out. We're in game 3 here, so
and
I hate it.
I assume they like the matchup into the Xayah as well. As
Nami?
they even lock in the Nami. Now, we have seen this this season
0%
already.
win rate?
But, like, yeah, she hasn't been working.
Yeah, they changed how her abilities work, and Lucian's gotten nerfed a few times, and it's not quite the same power level. I actually kind of like the Emilio more,
Yeah.
to be honest, but Guma's just like, well, if you're going to raise the prio on that, I'll raise the prio on Xayah, Rakan, and we'll take those away. So I think Closer probably grabs a mid laner here, and we'll see jungle pools thinned out after that. I feel like it's a good Aurora angle.
Yeah, I think it's a fine Aurora angle. I think that every other angle is doomed out of its mind.
Why are we picking Trundle here? Is
Why
the real question.
not?
Because you could wait and see if it's like a Sejuani and then pick it later, or
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well,
also 0% win rate. Bros are going to change history tonight, Atlas.
exactly. It's all about turning around the win rates. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that T1 have hit a home run, and okay, bro, we're in the parking lot, and they're not even playing the same game. It's looking a little bit rough here. You can understand the pick away of the Lucian. I don't know whether you necessarily then need to fully index into the old Lucian Nami. That doesn't work necessarily.
Yeah, like
quite as well.
what's the priority on these two picks that I think T1 were not really thinking about at all, that you could have gotten other picks for and then save these for later?
And also, like, the Rakan doesn't have to worry about Poppy or Talia based on the last game either. Like, it's a very comfortable Rakan angle.
Yeah, I feel like this was a big miss for me. But we'll see what they finish the draft with before we fully judge. But
Yeah, I mean, the
I've been
bros
critical-
often have things up their sleeve.
yeah, I've been critical of some drafts that I didn't like that did end up winning, with the enemy team Nexus exploding today.
Yep.
So this could be another one of those scenarios as Nara is taken away. It's a very good and safe one here, as we still don't know what that top side is going to look like just yet. I don't think it'll be Trundle top, I can tell you that.
It could be. It depends. We might have that lore matchup, right? Like, if they lock in Darius, we might be able to actually get that 6 cinematic, the Noxus cinematic, with the Trundle versus Darius. We don't get the Renekton, so it's not going to be Renekton.
It's not going to be Renekton.
Zoe
When
just
he's
locked
Zoe,
in.
Closer, this was one of his best
What
picks.
year is it?
This is one of his best picks when he was playing behind Faker in that year, 2021, where Zoe was meta. We saw Faker play it. We saw BDD play it to great success. Even Chovy every now and then. Sejuani is going to get locked in, it looks like here.
No, that would be ridiculous, wouldn't it?
I mean, it wouldn't be very good.
Yeah, because like the Frost Armor helps the Subjugate, which makes like Trundle unkillable. They're not going to lock that one in. Jax is going to be taken away here by Doran. Great team fighting Jax player. And now Owner is considering a Nidalee.
Also considering
Zed.
Zed. I would prefer the Nidalee. Canyon had some struggles on the Zed, even though he did pick up the W.
He did.
Technically. It didn't feel like he did last time that was played. Talon.
Talon is...
What year is it? No,
Oh, God.
He knows Sejuani isn't a great pick here, but he's like, it's the only pick that really works with our draft.
Never mind, it's Talon.
Or it's Talon.
Well, I love that they actually hover the Sejuani first and then lock in the Talon.
And then we get the insta-lock Shen
Oh, God.
top lane.
You know, I've actually been watching this guy. I've forgotten his name, and I really should be able to credit him. But I've been watching a bunch of like Shen videos on YouTube.
You know
Just,
what?
Like, full games of Shen. And Shen, when he gets going, is absurdly good.
You know what? I guess you guys were right all along. Fearless is pretty cool. I guess like the 1 out of 80 games we'll get the crazy one. Of these two teams, I feel like are pretty well known to have pretty succinct champion pools. I think we can all agree that both T1 and Bro kind of keep their champions close to the chest.
Yeah.
They both got a wind of that and banned a lot of these picks out, and it got a little bit weird. Priority got a little bit strange in this one. But it's been a while since I've seen Shen in the top lane, but it does offer a lot of global presence for a team that's already been playing really well through side lanes. So I'm excited to see how this one is going to eventuate. The Trundle is not going to be playing into Sejuani, but I'm not 100% sure how this is going to work out with the Talon pick, especially with the Shen Shield that's going to be able to come through. But otherwise, a pretty squishy draft here for Bro.
Yep.
So,
I mean, it's a squishy draft for T1 as well, because
Yeah.
it kind of has to be, because you want to be denying as much Trundle value
yeah.
as possible. But still, I don't think Talon wins in the 1v1 against Trundle necessarily. Of course, the Chomp is just so good against other AD champions.
yeah, it's very strong.
If, however, Ona runs away in the matchup, it will be a big old problem. Traditional Trundle there as well. I see you, Croco. That's what we like to see. Let's get into game number 3, T1 versus Bro.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for game number 3, or number 6, as we are going the distance.
Well, I gotta say, this is a little bit unexplored territory.
It
These
is.
2 drafts. I don't want to make any overarching statements about what they mean and how they work, but I will tell you that I think Bro have a ton of burst power. They have Zoe, they have Lucian, and they have half a Faker's health bar.
Oh, the press the attack is doing so much work here. There's another Chomp, as Faker getting taken down very, very low, and in fact, electing to go for the potion, realizing not enough time to go back home.
The classic unsealed spellbook Zoe, the closer.
Yeah.
One of Faker's favorites in the past as well.
All right, there's a flash forward. Flash out immediately there from Polu, who gets a whole lot of ebb and flow value, and Gumayusi taking a lot of damage here as well. The Electrocute is once again going to be the keystone of choice here, as we see for Hype.
Got buffed so many times. He's just so strong in these bursty trades.
It was Diablo that went for it last time
Yes,
around, right?
I believe so.
So Hype getting wind of that one as once again a grand entrance. Polu going to use the heal. As you can see, Gumakaria understanding that this combo is so good level 1.
Yeah, they really got a lot of value out of that because they targeted Palu. Hype has barrier, but they didn't hit him. But now Hype has a potential all-in angle. Once level 2 is reached for both of them, they can actually look for the pressure onto Guma. Guma does not have his barrier anymore, so have to be very aware of this. Garia and Guma will hit level 2 first, though, so maintaining that tempo is very important.
Yep, well played there by the Bros to understand that they did not have any right to be that far up the lane. But still, T1 investing a lot into this,
There's
as
level
well as
Hype.
Bro. So it could mean that a possible gank angle could be there for either the Troll King or the Talon. Because, man, it's been such a long time since we've seen the Talon jungle. I remember when those changes first came in and Talon jungle became a thing. Of course, he's so good at getting around the map with the ability to jump over all of the walls around and all that sort of stuff.
There was the time where we had like Axiom Arc and all that come out, and there was for like a week or 2 we had Talon jungle. So that's not what he had in mind.
No, it was supposed to be the let's go home together type.
I was like,
angle.
no, it's chill. It's whatever. I'll be here when you get back.
Yep.
But yeah, we had like the Talon jungle. We had Kiana mid for a little bit. And then we very quickly realized in the LCK that assassins are just not it. Like kind of like how Canyon realized that a few days ago.
Oh my god, Doran's gone back in. Has relatively low health. As Morgan's sword angle is not looking too bad. As
He was the last one.
He was the last one to play it against Rascal. That's a tough matchup, especially in 2021. My god.
Yeah, that was Jin.
As all right, pulls over the sword, gets it empowered, but of course, as Jax, you're able to press the Counter-Strike button. Of course, the empowered Q, like auto attacks, are so important for Shen in this matchup that you can really use the Counter-Strike pretty effectively.
Yeah. So Faker did take that really unfortunate. Yes, it's been a long time since we've seen all of these. We saw the Talon, and then like it was Bulldog who last played this against Chovy, which was 2 years ago actually, Bulldog's debut year. Here comes Croco.
Yeah, he's walking over Vision. But of course, Carrier wanting to use his grand exit in order to make this one work. The Pillar of Filth goes down, and now Gumayusi on the other side of the Rift. Let's see whether this Feather Recall is going to work out. It's Croco that eats all of them. The Ebb and Flow doing so much work. And there's one more auto, and that is going to do it. Chef's kiss there for Hype as he picks up first blood. And the bros feeling pretty happy about this early game.
Hype grabbed his chest after that one, knowing it was a pretty tense play with potentially Owner rotating over right afterwards. But Guma got his barrier back, and I think that that was maybe the moment that gave him the most stress, but I think it was always going to be a sure thing that they got the kill. He was able to secure it himself, didn't go to Kroko. So a big win here. I was mentioning Faker earlier. It did lose a lot of his health bar at level 1, so is significantly behind in CS as a result. I mean, it's 8 CS now. It was a little bit bigger earlier. So every time we see this Counter-Strike channeled, we jump to the top lane.
Yep.
But it's still a relatively even start. Just a really good play there from the Trundle early on, Pillar of Filth. He held it for a long time. Comes down here. They have vision that there's no Talon. They also have vision of the Talon pathing towards the red buff, so they would see exactly where he is when this happens. They're like, oh, he's so far away. And then Guma ends up on the wrong side of this fight and got his barrier back, but does not hit the root here onto Hype, which is critical positioning for Hype. Very nice. Guma's barrier buys a little bit of time, but ultimately he still dies. Now down both summoners.
Yeah, you can see Owner was actually in the area, but just not quite able to get there in time.
And they knew where he was because they had that really good ward on the red buff. So they're like, okay, we have just enough time. The pathing is really good from Kroko. He's got the wraparound angle there. Now we're going to see a swap.
Yeah, Doran moving down towards that bottom side. Gumayusi here in the top side of the map. As Morgan, no teleport, does have level 6 though, so Stand United going to be there. Can always use that to taxi yourself towards a teammate. In the early game especially, it can work out very, very well.
We're going to lose a lot of farm here on the top side potentially though, because he doesn't have anyone to go to there, and they're going to commit to the Drake. And so as a result, it should be maybe even a plate going over to Guma in that top side. See how much time he gets alone with it, but I think he should be able to, take that plate away. So I'm feeling pretty good about the tempo that he gains from this, despite dying there in the bottom lane. Very even game here. Really only that first blood, the difference maker, but the Dragon does go over to Bro. Laning phase here for Closer once again, starting off well. Again, kind of a cheat lead because of the level 1, but gonna see if he can hold on to that advantage. Has his Ignite at the ready for now.
Looking forward to seeing what Morgan's going to do with the build. Like whether it is just going to be the full tank Shen
I'm not sure.
that has been pretty popular, or whether you go for the more bruiser style. You can actually play Shen as kind of a side laner in a lot of ways. Of course, Stand United does really help you. Works kind of like GP, right? You can just always help no matter what. And I think see whether he does go for something like a Titanic Hydra into, you know, some more like battle stats. But it looks with this Giant's Belt, it's looking a little bit hard steely.
With the burst that they have, I think it is going to be hard to but with the burst that they have, and the fact that they have a Trundle, like it means that Talon, if you just build tanky, Talon can't do a whole lot of things to you.
I mean, they have a lot of Zoe food on the side of T1. There is a lot that if you get bubbled, you can possibly just die.
Yeah, no, it's pretty insane. So I feel like you just build tanky and you become so difficult to deal with later on, and there's so many ways to catch the side of T1, and then you can play through sides really aggressively even if you don't go like Hullbreaker, because you're Shen, and you know you can teleport in, so you can go deep in the side, and even if you don't have your teleport summoner spell, you still have your teleport ultimate. And the fact that this Lucian got the kill earlier on has already accelerated is really huge for Bro. They're going to have this explosive mid-game where they have so much pick potential. Rocco's here.
Yeah, making his way in. There's a great entrance. That's really nicely played to make sure that Hype doesn't get the extra damage down.
That was really clean.
That was an instant cancel on the culling. I actually didn't see the culling go out. I had to see that it was on cooldown.
They saw Owner was coming up too.
Yeah, and Hype dashes forward. That's a bit dangerous. He's going to flash out with the grand entrance onto 2 as Owner looking to close the gap, and he finds it. The bleed is ticking down from that Q as now Faker taking a lot of damage. Kroko is at full health, and he's still pushing forward. There are 4 people here, Kroko.
Yeah, that was very scary. Closer is showing up as well, but they have vision of him. I don't think he hits this bubble onto Guma. No way. He's not even going to go for it. Nope. And that's the end of that.
Look at all these summoner spells on the ground, though.
Yeah, they do end up getting the grubs off of this, which is kind of crazy. Like,
yeah, we haven't actually seen very much Trundle recently. Do the little Void Mites that pop out give King's Tribute to Trundle?
I actually don't know the
answer. You just have infinite health all the time? Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I guess they do. I actually haven't really seen this interaction before.
So Trundle is like the healthiest at taking down the Void Grubs. There you go.
Yeah. And I mean, I think obviously it's going to be really nice for him in situations like this too, where things get a little bit brawly. Is
Hype gonna get flashed on there by Faker. Owner gonna come on over as well. There is the dash forward, and the kill goes over to Faker. You can see Owner holds the auto, says, "Take it, my goat." He picks that one up. As now Closer will put Carrier to sleep, but he does have to use his own flash. Didn't have one of those.
Yeah, did not have one. Had a heal, I believe, there, but we'll have to get over the wall. Pretty unfortunate for him, but they got the grubs. So that's good news. And even a jungle Trundle, if he's left alone in the side, can do a little bit of damage to turrets, but I like where this is going for Bro in terms of the setups they have. You know, as long as no more incidents happen where Hype is going in after it seemed like they had already committed to not going in and getting caught by Carrier, because Carrier had 2 phenomenal plays there on the top side, which we're going to kind of gloss over and go back to this moment here, because Flash had to be used for Hype in that top side. Now he doesn't have it. Now Faker has the Flash engaged, so yeah, kind of snowballing that advantage pretty big.
Wasn't really allowed to be in that position, but at least has to get, like, Faker has to use the Flash, and so it's not like they get nothing for it. But still, Bro behind about 1,000 gold. And we do need to go back to like the eclectic nature of this Bro draft. A lot of it hinges on Closer being really strong. Like if Closer is not really strong, then they just kind of don't do a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, he needs to be the bursty assassin that Zoe should be.
Yeah, the bubbles need to be scary. If the bubbles aren't scary, then the Bro composition kind of doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he does have unsealed, so he can do some niche things like look for some objective plays, as Morgan does have Flash. Let's see if he has to use it. I don't think so.
He's got Shadow Dash as well. He should be fine.
Yeah, he's fine. The Luden's Companion, which is a rarely picked item these days, does get locked in here, and that's the kind of bursty champion that is going to look for that. As Carrier is hiding on this flank angle here, Owner's coming over. Trying to dive his Shen, though, is going to be tricky.
Yeah, he's teleporting towards the top side of the map, as Doran is going to be shoving that wave in. And so Morgan able to pick that one up pretty comfortably, but still he's 26 CS behind. The Jax is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, the Shen pick isn't working out just yet, and they haven't been able to use any Stand United macro plays. They haven't been able to turn any plays with it just yet. Still early days, of course, but...
Ooh, bubble. Looking pretty nice here as Carrier going to get denied as Croco puts down the pillar. And there's a big old shield, but it's not going to be enough. The Tidal Wave going to get a cute little knock up onto Faker here. But now Hype moving on in. Will he be able to find any value? That's the question. There's the culling right on top of Gumayusi. And yeah, their health bars are getting lower, but I don't think the Bros are going to be able to finish anyone off.
It's going to be really hard. I don't think they should try for it without Palu's ult here.
Stand United was interrupted as well. Yep. Morgan tried to use it to get in on top of Closer, and it doesn't actually work.
Yeah, and that's a dead Zoe. And we know what the composition of T1 does. The Talon part of it is a little bit weird, but otherwise it's a pretty standard draft, right? That part is still pretty meta.
Yep.
You've got a Jax, you've got a Xayah, you have an Azir, you have a lot of skirmishing power, you have a lot of safety with the Xayah as well, and Bro need to be respecting the power of these skirmishes, especially the burst damage that this Talon does bring to the table. But even still, after a kill does go over, they are going to be able to get a second dragon, and they still have this Shen inside, so things are not as glum as, if you look at the gold lead only, would have you believe. I'm just not 100% sure about how Bro is going to execute on team fights later on. It's also a 2-dragon lead into Chemtech Soul, so that's not really great either, especially for this comp. I mean, Trundle's
Trundle actually loves it.
Trundle loves it, but everyone else is kind of like...
And, you know, there's healing on Nami. There's at least that.
Sure.
Yeah, but otherwise, it's still a Chemtech Soul.
Yeah, Hype playing this incredibly aggressively. If it was a different jungler that had, you know, big CC, he might actually just be dead there. But he probably wouldn't have made the play, of course, knowing that it's Talon.
Yeah, Morgan not being able to get there was just such a big deal because you couldn't have anyone go in and start the fight. The amount of like layered CC that they can have, then you put down pillars, and Hype just, even though he has short range, it doesn't actually matter because the battlefield is so difficult to navigate. But as it turns out, you just cancel that, and then it's not going to be an issue. As Closer getting on over, but doesn't quite find the paddle star.
Not quite. Close to it, though. Don't think it would have killed, but it would have felt nice to collect some extra damage. Carrier's going to back anyways.
Yep, you can see the gold, like, it's barely different between these two squads. But as you said, very standard draft coming out from T1. Carrier is on his Rakan. Like, there are so many things that make this look so difficult for Bro to figure out. But they have a strange draft. They might be able to catch T1 unawares.
Yeah, the thing is, I think that Faker is very aware of how to play around Zoe. He's played a ton of Zoe games himself. You consider Doran's Jax has been at times quite legendary. And he is winning the lane. This time around, he is Morgan's boss. Morgan was the boss of him in game 2, but very different reality we're living in right now. And the Shen doesn't think it's necessarily ever going to come online if he doesn't get some attention soon. And it's really difficult to gank a Jax as Trundle because he just kind of leap strikes away and says, nice try. You're going to need a lot more resources than that. The good news is that they got all 3 grubs, so the
Yep.
Jax doesn't have that extra side lane pressure. That feels nice.
Yeah, and also it means the Shen has a bit of side laning power, which is kind of nice. Heartsteel now done. See how much brawling he can get done in that top lane as well.
Yeah.
Right now he is moving down towards the bottom side.
Top players kind of do stack that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit better than some of the sad jungle performances we've seen as far as Heartsteel stacks are concerned. Not quite ARAM, but definitely better than being a jungler. As now Hype set up alongside Gumayusi here, but Owner and Carrier
Look at
waiting
all
in the wings.
Deep vision that T1 have all over the map. Like, there's no flank angle they won't be aware of. And, you know, Zoe, if she's missing in the side, it's really important to have some deep vision like that because you want to know if Closer's going to pop out of a brush, sleep you, and kill you. And I've been able to track him pretty well so far. Just love to see the vision game here from T1.
Oh, Closer actually picks up a heal. That was pretty cute, but the Trouble Bubble not going to quite connect. As Gumayusi continuing to just keep things shoved up. Closer picking things up from the ground. Owner now possibly out of position as he dives onto Croco. Croco going to get a big old shield as the bubble is decent. There's a knock-up from Polo as well, but only lands onto Gumayusi as now the culling from Hype zones them really nicely. Doran able to get himself out of there with the leap strike, but the Trouble Bubble is going to come through. Closer. Can he find the paddle star? The answer is not quite enough damage as Hype wanting to get it done, but the counter-strike was so good, still he just flashes in. That's the way to get it done. They'll take down the Jax. And in the meantime, Morgan is in the side lane. I think he gave a good old shield to the Jax and not too much more than that. Sorry, a shield to his team and not much more than that.
Not really trying to do anything big on this play, but
Oh, Closer, sometimes you can actually get that one through. It's still going to land the paddle star. That looks pretty nice.
And Faker takes a big chunk of damage. Croco is still here, by the way. Faker's already dashed. The pillar looking for
the
Guma.
pillar is such high value alongside this Zoe as Gumayusi's in so much trouble. The jump! And it's going to be Croco that takes him down. Still, the bubble connects onto Carrier. And it's a 1-for-1 trade. Closer picks up a flash, and he may need it. But the Trouble Bubble going to come through there. The flash comes forward, and Hype's going to look for another one. Doran is respawned and come back in, and will just eliminate the rest of the bros. And in the meantime, Morgan in the bottom lane.
So like I said, a little uncharted territory with this one.
Yeah, a little bit of that. A little bit of that. Do you know what the result is as far as gold? The gold swing, if you will?
Yeah, it's
zero.
Yeah, none. So this fight here from T1 is a little bit greedy, I feel, considering the power of this skirmishing composition on the side of Bro. They obviously have the Nami ult as well. Owner gets chunked down super low. And Bro keep chasing her. They went for the pillar on the Doran, which I don't necessarily agree with because he is Jax and can just jump over the wall. If they had saved it, maybe they actually end up getting Guma here. They're able to chase down and take out Doran. Anyways, really nice play there from Hype. Terry gets pushed away. And then we go into the mid lane where Faker has shown up and they want to go for more here. They look for Guma. And then they chase super deep because Guma still has...
Croco just flashing in.
Yeah. Ends up being almost a kill back here on the Closer as well, and then he's like, no, we go
Area
for
with
this.
the block on the paddle star was so heroic, even if it didn't necessarily change anything.
They got the TP out of Doran. Faker TP'd. Morgan has recently TP'd, but didn't TP into the fight in that moment. And we continue the juggle. We're back to, it feels like a solo queue game here.
Yeah,
in
it feels pretty wacky, actually.
Doran, I think he's fine. I don't think they can collapse on him. The control of this banana brush is pretty huge for T1. Chemtech Dragon is up and available. Guma has his ult, even though he doesn't have Summers. I feel like this is just T1's prize, and bro, we're going to trade it for a Rift Herald.
Yeah, that looks to be the option. I was trying to figure it out. I looked at the top of the screen. I'm like, oh, it's only 18.5 minutes into this game.
It's so fun to watch. Oh, hold that thought.
Oh, nice little electrocute proc there from Hype.
It's so fun to watch comps that teams very clearly have full mastery on. We're like, okay, 100% we know how to set up on this Dragon. And then watching this, where you're like, do we go Dragon? Do we go Herald? Better just call randomly, I don't know.
Well, in they go. There's a big old tidal wave. This is crazy. Polo is going to explode, but look at these health bars on T1. If Closer finds anyone with a bubble, it's going to be disaster, as he doesn't, so it's not. It's fine.
That was Bro hesitating to go for a contest on the Dragon, committing to going to Herald, but then deciding to commit to not doing Herald, and then Hype looking for some damage there, and then they end up losing Palu in the end for the play. So T1 do end up getting the Dragon. They deny the Herald and maintain a 2,000 gold lead here. To go back to it, like they all backed away to the Herald and then hung around in this choke point and tried to defend the turret, even though there wasn't, like the turret's pretty healthy, there wasn't a huge wave here. And then Paulu's the one who gets collapsed on. Hype is able to escape, But then, as you mentioned, the bubble does not connect. Would have been a kill onto probably anyone they caught, but Keria was the lowest health target that he was probably looking to hit there because he was also in a vulnerable spot, didn't have flash. But he doesn't hit it, and we reset to 6-5 kill game here that feels like it's T1's control, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't
get wild.
Not me, Wolf. Not me. I'm not the one that.
I think T1 has better scaling. I'll say that I think that's pretty confidently how I feel
feel like
this.
also T1's draft is more sensible.
And it also just, we know what it does, and it's kind of doing it.
Yeah, and I think we know what Bros does because like this existed in like 2019, but I don't know whether it does it now.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's doing it right now. As they try to collapse on the Faker, and he just dashes away, doesn't have to flash, doesn't care about anything. This Jax is 1,000 gold ahead, and we talked about how Shin can sometimes side lane and sometimes get hard steal stacks. He doesn't have any of those, and he's not interacting with Doran, who has control of the side right now. Even though he doesn't have grubs, he's still Jax. The Azir is a side lane threat and does consistent damage. The Zoe is more burst focused. The Lucian is more burst focused. And it's a late game Xayah that has her summoners back up. It's not late game yet, but she will, and the late game scale better. Does have summoners up right now is what I mean to say. And T1 are just not giving up control. They got a little bit of it after that last skirmish, and now finally feel confident to take the Herald. And I think this is a reasonable take.
Yeah, they're looking for it. Hype dashing forward towards Gumayusi as Keria holding on to his position as Pillar of Filth goes down once again. I know it's the Pillar of Ice, but because this is the OG Trundle skin, then it's still a Pillar of Filth.
It's still filthy. I mean, I don't know.
It is, exactly. As now, Paddlestar not going to quite find the mark here, and of course, Zoe is so feast or famine. Either you hit it or you do nothing at all. As the bubble comes in, he does collect himself a bit of a sleepy time. The exhaust goes down on top of him, and he's going to try and get out, but I think he's still dead. So there is the first kill.
They need more.
And another bubble connects onto Faker as well. He will get Mikhail's, so he is absolutely fine.
I feel like that's not enough for Bro. Just
I don't think so either. Unless
Doran.
Unless he can take this outer turret, maybe turn that into also an Otacon. Yeah. That would be huge.
I mean, I think that's the Otacon might be a bridge too far, but at least they do get the turret. They're going to clear that ward, it looks like, in the mid lane as Morgan's going to defend Faker's push, because this is a strong side laning Azir, you know, that does have Nashor's Tooth.
Yeah, look at those Heartsteel stacks though, baby. There you go, 42.
All right. We're getting bigger.
Yep.
Going back to this play, this teleport from Doran would have been incredible if there wasn't a Zoe on the team that could just sleep.
Yeah, teleports are very, very hard to do into the middle of the enemy when there is a Zoe.
But like, if there wasn't a Zoe, it would have been sick. Like, lock him in place. Paulo also has a really nice ult to follow up, or deny any follow-up from T1 there when they do commit to killing the sleeping Jax. But T1 still end up getting the Herald. And that's why we're saying, like, that wasn't alone enough, but they got the turret. So it feels like a relatively even exchange here. 1,000 gold, now the lead for T1. Shrank a little bit for that last play.
There's a lot of damage.
Ooh, Horizon Focus finished here for closer. This is a big spike right before this dragon does spawn, so could be an angle there. Hallowed Radiance up for Morgan.
They also,
less of a spike.
Yeah, they also had the Feats of Strength, which is pretty cool. So Bro now getting some upgraded shoes as well. You can see Closer puts his Lucidity upgrades together.
Yeah, value of that triple grub take.
Yeah, nice.
Coming in strong.
And Morgan still with those 42. It's not super great. He's having a lonely time here in the side lane.
Picking up those kills actually pretty significant because he's going to get his IE pretty soon. They didn't quite realize how ahead he was, but that is going to be one of their biggest win cons here because he is one of the most consistent damage dealers on this squad and does have a lot of upfront burst as well when we come to fighting for neutrals. Morgan has teleport and his ultimate available, so can just stand united with his team when the commit to this Drake take does actually come through from T1. Flank here from Croco.
Yeah, Bro, I think wanting to get themselves soul point this time around is Doran on a great flank angle.
Zoning sleep pretty good.
Yep, Stand United gonna have to come in pretty soon, I think. A preemptive one would be great, as there it is on top of Hype. That's a lot of damage onto Keria, though, not able to get too much value, as finally Morgan actually gets into a battle. Still, the Zoe goes down and Doran gets a great counter-strike. The flash out from Croco might keep him alive, but Morgan not going to be so lucky. Everyone just lying on the floor, and unfortunately, the composition for the Bros just not quite working this time around, as there's the rake, and he just pops over the wall, and there it is.
Yeah, just like dried leaves, the end of autumn, down he will go. And this is going to be mid-turret for free. By the way, Herald not even employed just yet.
Oh, no,
still in
Shelly.
training, in fact, yeah.
All right, so she does have a job. She just hasn't turned up yet.
Yeah. She
Okay,
starts
got it.
on Tuesday. It's
All
fine.
right, good.
We'll let you know when Tuesday comes around and she charges into one of these inner turrets. Because this fight here from Bro, like the sleep, I said it was zoning, but it really just missed, to be frank. And it was avoided. The ult here from Palu does kind of mess up the engage that Keria was looking for, so he gets punished, but Zoe's just so low and so squishy. And then Doran comes in here and locks the rest of these members in from retreating. You can see Morgan gets rooted. He's going to get taken out here as well. And it's basically just a full wipe as Palu runs away very sadly. He's like, maybe I get out. I got the bubble. Dry leaves at the end of autumn, yeah.
Yeah, all
that's
that
the ace.
sort of stuff.
So I'm still wondering when Tuesday's going to roll around, because I think T1 can try to utilize this Rift Herald to get an inner turret, potentially. But I think that might have been the back-breaking fight, frankly, because now this Azir is huge, has an extra arm guard. Look at the build from Owner. Like, he has Cleaver and now also Serpent's Fang unlocked.
Yeah.
He doesn't really care about Shen shields that much anymore.
Yeah, no, Owner is kind of gigantic in this game, as we can see, has the biggest lead. As Morgan just tries to walk past to Jax and is otherwise going to struggle, but the pillar not going to be enough to interrupt Faker there as he teleports out. He sensed it, but there was a lot of bad guys heading towards his top lane.
And like that means that side lane pressure that T1 were trying to collapse on Faker for just kind of ends up being a bunch of wasted members as Croco's now isolated.
Yeah, he was trying to work out which direction he wanted to go, and Death Chamber, that's the way.
Hey, there she is.
Hey, hello.
Tuesday comes faster than you think.
It certainly does, because last I checked, it was Thursday. Like, we're a long way away from Tuesday right now.
Oh, this has been
Keria-
a long 6-gamer.
Yeah, Keria's doing like some weird stuff here now, pushing Shelly towards the top side. And T1 are on the Baron. It's been spawned for a minute 20, and they already hadn't started it?
I mean,
Kinda
bro,
crazy.
they're going to show up. It's going to be quite challenging, though, to get something done. Keria eats a bit of damage, but it's too late.
Yep. Owner is going to be able to secure that one. Now looking for a flank angle as well. Speaking of flanks, Doran will find, okay, a bubble. And so that's going to connect as Polo is just dead. The Shadow Assault just a little bit much there as Hype running out of people protecting him. And in fact, there are none left as Morgan tries to get on top of Gumayusi. And Gumayusi says, thanks for the taunt. That was cute. And nothing else going to really come of it. Croco has just respawned. And the bros, I think, have ran out of ergs in this particular game.
I do feel like the dragon fight was probably the last gasp of this interesting experiment as Croco's going to try to buy time.
Oh, look at that.
Slow down that wave.
There's the pillar. Really beautifully done.
Need 20 more seconds. Need 20 more seconds. But yeah, we knew that Owner was good at carry jungles and assassins, so that's not a shock. But everything else for Bro here was very experimental. It did not work out. Croco tries to buy time here. 10 seconds
He's
on
just
closer.
being ignored.
They don't care about him. They want to kill the Nexus.
Yeah, T1 just wants to go home. Eventually he gets swept up by Faker, who goes golden, and he'll remain golden as the Nexus explodes. T1, there was a bit of a hiccup there in game number 2, but they pull it all back together here in game 3. I think largely to do with those first 3 picks that we saw coming in the draft.
Yeah. We had a lot of questions about the draft coming into today for Bro. It was mostly about the top lane. We did see Morgan find success with the Yorick, but moving into game 3, the last pick, Shen, with the Zoe in the mid lane, just didn't hit the mark, and anyone just outplayed in general. Doran had a good Jax game.
Yeah.
Baker had a good Azir game. And Keria, some pretty insane engages. And just overall great mechanical play throughout the third and final game on his signature. Rakan tried to push Guma out of his champion pool, and he's like, but you forgot Xayah, and he locked it in. I like the idea behind the Lucian, but everything else I felt like was just really hard to work in pro. Like, you have a bunch of champions that have a lot of burst damage, and if everything goes well, or if the enemy team doesn't have vision, or if you have complete control, super easy to play out. But otherwise, like, Closer tried to hands. Like, you could see him going in, using his ultimate, using his picked up flash, and trying to do the damage, but it wasn't going to be enough. And Guma had a pretty good day today. You know, he had his Ezreal game where he wasn't the main issue, and then came into the third one. He played his signature Xayah with Keria, maybe a distinct back at one point, but otherwise pretty clean.
Yeah. No. Keria didn't want to go back anyway. You know, he just wanted to man the area just in case they tried to push in. That was probably what it was.
Any owner
Just wanted
ceremony?
to high five. Oh, no. It's all business today.
And
maybe we'll see a ceremony after POM. Who is going to pick it up, Wolf? Where did
I
your vote
voted
go?
for owner, so I don't think that's probably a secret to anyone, but thought he had a pretty good day today.
In both of the wins, I think it was definitely the most important.
Yeah. And in the loss, you know, couldn't get it done alone, but I want to remind everyone that this is now T1 on a 5-series winning streak. They did not win this one 2-0 like the others, but still were able to get it done in the end. And I think T1 have been a team that's been, in their losses, heavily criticized. Everyone's like, oh man, this team is just not the same. Can't believe this team is not the same team that won the World Championship. But when you watch them in the wins with the coordination, like what you're going to see in these clips, you're like, oh, actually, maybe they are. You know? And I think piloted draft really well today. They were bold enough to put Guma on the Ezreal, which even though they didn't win that game, I feel like is a good sign going forward. And I think T1 fans might be a little bit frustrated with how things went with the Yorick and Doran's performance in game 2, but I think overall should not feel too discouraged by losing one game in a series against a team they already lost to once this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. I also think that the Bros played really well in that game number 2, and they deserve the credit for that one. T1 being able to find some great angles here to really shut Bro out. And it felt like in this game, like even in the first game, it was like there were some moments where you felt like the Bros maybe had it. In this game, it didn't really feel like there were very many of those angles. Outside of maybe the first blood that Hype was able to pick up. From that point onwards, it felt like it was kind of just all over. And Ona dishing out a whole bunch of Noxian diplomacy in this particular game.
Yeah, I really wanted to say that I thought Bro's draft was bad, but I was like, maybe I just don't understand it, you know, and I'll say that instead. I'm not sure if they did either.
It was an archetype that we used to see a fair bit when Zoe was really strong, like, but it's just not the same.
It's dated.
Yeah, it is a little bit dated. But also, I think, like, there is, like, it probably would have merit against other things.
Yeah,
It's just not able to do it against all of T1's comfort picks, like Faker on his, like, what, 5-0 Azir, maybe 6-0 now, I'm not entirely sure. But as you can see here, with these damage numbers, Hype definitely doing the most on the side of Bro, and in fact, the most in the game.
He did a lot, and he was set up to do a lot. He tried his best, but unfortunately the rest of the comp was a little bit too niche. I feel like if you have one part of this, like if you have a normal top laner, normal mid laner, and the Trundle, it's like, okay, I get you. If you have, you know, normal jungle, normal mid, and the Shen top, I'm like, okay. But they cooked a bit too much for me. Owner picks up a deserved POM, another one, 5 out of T1's victories, and he had a pretty good day, I think you could say.
I would agree. I think his Xin Zhao still absolutely illegal. The fact that he got to play it was a big issue here for the Bros. As you can see, moving closer and closer. Owner and Zeus actually even on points here. Still underneath Chovy, but so is everyone. 800 points is a heck of a lot of points as the 6-game day has concluded. But we're not quite done here, of course. We still need to hear from Owner, who will talk us through this Talon pick, how much practice he's been doing on some new champions and fun stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to seeing what he thinks about the Bro draft, if he has any thoughts.
Oh, that'd actually
I'm still hoping to learn more, so I hope he has some ideas for us.
Yeah.
I mean, Closer's a good Zoe player, we know that, but, you know.
The Zoe really didn't get off the ground either. So I think maybe this is one of those compositions that if it works, but if it doesn't, it just really, you can't even necessarily see how it's supposed to work when it does happen. And that's precisely what it kind of looked like there. Thankfully, you know, we've got some other minds on the job that are getting that work done on the space later on. But first, it is time for the interview, so here is Dear for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation, joined by Owner on the side of T1. Congratulations. Thank you. You took OK Savings Bank Brion down and got your revenge for round 1. How do you feel? Now, back in round 1, we lost against Brion, and it left a lot of regretful memories, and I'm just glad that we're able to get our revenge today. And you are able to get 500 POM points as of today. So did you predict and expect the POM today? Honestly, I do believe that my teammates did a lot better, so I didn't expect I would get it. But I'm just grateful that, you know, I got the votes, and that just shows that, you know, people saw that I did a good job. And as it was a close 2-1 today, Bro had a great momentum. So what was the most troublesome aspect about Bro? No, bro, Brion is quite solid as a team, and I think that really reflected on today's match. So I think that's really what gave us the most trouble with. And in Game 3, we really wanted to sort of disrupt their team synergy, and that's what really worked out today. And it was a rematch with Kroko after a while, and after joining Brion, he is named the new general, so what was something you were looking out for against him? Yeah, it's been a while since I played against him, and it was really fun today. And just the showing of a great player and playing against a great player is always an honor, and I hope that we can continue having great matches against him. And Owner, your Sin Zhao is undefeated out of 6 games, so what do you think is so great about Sin Zhao? I think just as a team, we're able to utilize champions like Sin Zhao. You know, he's really good at the engages and team fighting. And in Game 2, now you guys had a regretful loss, but what did you talk about after for Game 3? I feel like we weren't able to execute our comp, and I think we were just talking about what we can actually accomplish and execute better in Game 3. And in Game 3, you know, you were hovering Sejuani and Zed for a while, but you ended up locking Talon in, so what was the reasoning behind that? We were contemplating on a lot of different options. But out of all the options, I think I had the most confidence with Talon. And I believe that I would have a lot of impact and a great performance with Talon in the end, so that's what made me lock him in the end. And even Helio said, you know, after today's match, I'm going to go play Talon in solo queue. So do you recommend playing Talon? You know, Talon honestly isn't a bad champion. So yeah, if you're able to pull a good Talon game off, I'm sure you'll be able to get a good win rate with him. And yeah, actress Kwon Nara is also here to cheer you on site. Yeah, I think we're able to win today due to all of her support. And so, you know, thank you, Nuna. I hope you can keep coming here to cheer us on. And now that you got your payback today, your next target will be Genji. So what is your goal? Every time we face Genji, we get really fun and awesome matches. And Genji did defeat us, and I really want to get our revenge. So we will make sure that we are well prepped for that match to make sure that we can win. And that's the end of the interview with Owner, and back to the space. Thank you.